Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why?
Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did. Good evening and welcome to The Right Side, the October 21st version. And as you can see, my special guest tonight is gubernatorial candidate, former Attorney General Mike Cox. Welcome, Mike. Thanks for coming out to Livingston County, and glad that you're able to come to our red county. You that's twice in 2 weeks. You were out for our Reagan Day.
I can't leave the place, Deb. You're too welcoming. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We'll camp you here somewhere.
Absolutely, I'm counting on the margin from Livingston County.
There you go. There you go. Well, that's a wise thing to do.
I'm not leaving.
Okay. All right.
I'm here for the duration.
All right. I'll call Frank and we'll fix up a bedroom for you back there. You can have my office. All right. So let's we have a great show tonight. It's going to be a little longer than normal. We have obviously candidate Mike Cox here. After Mike, we have Aaron and Jake Curry coming in, and they're going to talk about their adventures with the seriously overreaching city of Howell, and we'll talk about that. And then it's going to be digging for the data, more data center stuff. It'll be the video and the pictures from our trip to New Albany, to what I would consider the Mall of America of data centers. There must have been 80 of them there. But anyway, we'll talk about there. So let's start here. Okay, well, let's see. Greetings from Wayne County. Madam Chair is awesome. Mark Price, just so you know, is he's from Wayne County, and he's exactly 50% of the whole Republican Party out there. I tease him. So
he's a little more less than that. There's a lot of us.
There's a rumor.
I have to defend my home county.
Okay, all right.
It is the People's Republic of Wayne County, but there's a lot of Republicans there.
All right. Well, from here, they're sort of like Sasquatch. A lot of rumor, but no real sightings other than Mark here. So Jim McFerrin is the chair of Wayne County Republican, and you're the first vice chair. Great. Okay. And then, here's more Mike. Former Attorney General Mike Cox was a great Attorney General and a great candidate for governor. There you are.
Yes.
Okay. So, you Wayne County people stick together apparently. So.
Well, there's not enough Republicans, so we have to.
No, that's right. You get both of them.
It's a matter of self-defense.
Oh, are you the other 50%? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's start. Let's start with a little bit of your background. Tell us about growing up, where you grew up, and what you did.
Well, I grew up in Wayne County, in Redford Township, which is a really blue collar kind of place. Yep. It was the kind of place where, as you know, Deb, my parents are immigrants. My dad was a carpenter, legal immigrants.
Okay.
All right, legal. And my dad was a carpenter, and you could grow up in a great house in Livonia, safe streets, good public schools, and everyone knew that they could do better than they did. And on a Saturday afternoon, everyone had the cars up and be working on them, and people had hot rods. It was a great place to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I told a story the other day. My dad is a carpenter. Your guy, Mike Rogers, was talking about his dad teaching shop, which he taught shop in Redford Union, which was like 5 miles from where I grew up. And he talked about his dad teaching shop. Well, my dad was a carpenter, and after one too many times of me smashing my thumb when he was trying to show me the ropes, he said, "Son, why don't you try something a little safer? You should join the Marine Corps." So that's what I did.
You were a Marine?
A Marine. I'm always a
All
Marine.
right. All right.
And,
that's new. I did not know that.
And for your folks out there, November 10th, if you know a Marine, you have to buy him a birthday cake.
Okay.
It's going to be the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps. Hoorah.
Ah.
And in fact, the Marine Corps is older than our great nation. And we
Wow.
were there at the beginning. And we got it started, and we keep it safe now.
Well, our state rep here, Jason Wolford, is a
I
Marine.
do.
Yeah.
Semper Fi, Jason.
Yeah,
He's a good man.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's doing a great job.
Yeah,
over there.
so from there, I got out, and I went to Ann Arbor, and another overly Dem place.
Oh, yeah.
And for any of you viewers out there, Deb has some really sophisticated rules you have to follow for the camera. So I'm trying to do that because otherwise I think she's going to kick me or punch me.
I do.
She
When I'm
does.
talking to candidates and they suddenly start giggling, it's because I kicked them under the table because they're looking at me. So.
No kicks yet.
Okay, no
Oh,
kicks.
a few nudges. But any rate, so from there, I got through U of M and put myself through U of M thanks to the Marine Corps. Did all the jobs you do trying to get ahead in life, right? Wash dishes, cut grass, worked as a garbage man. And then I became a homicide prosecutor, which was a awesome job, which a lot of people think is crazy, but it was awesome for this sense because we would get people at their worst time of their life, family members, and we would try and get them justice and develop relationships with those folks. And when I say it was awesome for a lawyer, it was so fulfilling. And I did that for 13 years. And you'd be surprised. In Wayne County, you had to be part of a union. In fact, I think I'm the only person running for governor that's been in 2 unions. So I was a laborer when I came out of the Marine Corps, and then I was a union member in Wayne County government. So from there, I ran for Attorney General, and we did some really kick-ass fun things. We took away driver's licenses from illegals. We started the first child support unit in the nation. We started a cold case unit. We started a mortgage fraud unit. I fought for consumers and built a team. And we just had a great time fighting for the citizens of Michigan. And I keep going on. Am I running on to? I don't know if you want a question or.
You're going to get a kick here in a minute.
All right. Okay, I'm back to the rules. Okay, so at any rate.
No, keep going. Tell us. We we all want to know here.
Yeah. So, but I forgot some of the most important stuff.
Okay.
So along the way, when I was a homicide prosecutor, I met a nice, beautiful young lady by the name of Laura Pilon.
Okay.
And she was undercover, and she was a federal agent for what's now ICE. She was working a money laundering caper, right? And so I met her, and we fell in love, and she became my wife. She's Laura Cox, and that was 31 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have 4 kids.
She was a state rep, correct?
She was.
I remember.
Yeah. So she did, I think, 14 years as a federal agent. We had our youngest son, Rory, who, by the way, is now on a ship in San Diego as an officer in the United States Navy.
Nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
Our oldest daughter, Lindsay, was in the Marines, like me, like her old man enlisted.
Okay. All right.
And she was over in Iraq for 13 months, and that's where she met her husband. But Lindsay and I joke that, that first and foremost, we lost Rory to the Navy. Right, that was bad, and then he's an officer. So,
oh no!
So yeah, but I have 4 great kids, and part of why I'm running, quite frankly, is 3 of them are out of the state, and like Deb, you probably know so many people. Maybe not so much here in Livingston County, because your economy's cooking a little bit more than the rest of the state. But so many of our children have left because there's just a lack of opportunity. And that's certainly part of why I'm running for governor today.
Oh, good. All right. So, how did you go from there? Let's do that segue into politics.
Yeah,
now.
sure. I was a county chair just like you.
Okay.
And then I was a district chair for Joe Nolenberg, who was the 11th district. We used to call it the mighty 11th. And there was Jennifer Granholm was no longer run for attorney general, right? She was given that up to run for governor.
Mm-hmm.
And some school choice folks approached me. And having been a prosecutor in Wayne County, I kind of saw the disaster of the Detroit public school system, right?
Right.
And especially public schools in urban areas. And I became a big fan of school choice. The experience as a prosecutor for 13 years in Detroit taught me so much about politics and how, the Great Society ideas just destroyed families and culture, but also destroyed the public school system. And so I became a big school choice fan. And so as it turned out, as you know, Attorney General is a convention race. So a bunch of people approached me, and there was a guy running, the Senate Majority Leader at the time, who was anti-school choice. And they coaxed me into running, and that's how I got started.
And who was the?
It was State Senator Dan DeGrow. He's from Port Huron.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I started running, and I didn't know any better. I would go to Lincoln Days, and I would stand outside and shake everyone's hand on the way in, and then especially if they had banquet style, where you go up and get your food.
Buffet. Yeah.
Buffet.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would stand at the buffet line and shake everyone's hand, and then at the end of the night, I'd shake everyone's hand on the way out. And I didn't know squat about politics, but that worked.
So you weren't a state rep or a senator
No,
before?
no.
You jumped right into the fray.
I love being a prosecutor.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these guys who's always running for office, a perpetual candidate.
Sure.
And it was like someone said, you've been a prosecutor for 13 years in Detroit, and you run the homicide unit, and you could probably be a good attorney general. And I kind of thought, you know what? I could certainly be better than the Democrats we had.
Yeah.
And so I ran against this guy. You may have heard of him, Gary Peters.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh,
our current United States Senator. I'm the only guy that ever beat Gary.
Wow.
The only guy.
That's a trophy right there.
Yeah, well, there's a rumor that there's a guy in the race who ran and lost to Gary Peters. So maybe there's a lesson there.
All right.
So at any rate, I beat Gary in perhaps the closest statewide race in 100 years. Literally, and I've mentioned this to you and your folks at your dinner in May, which was the difference that grassroots make. And I know it. Why do I know it? Because I won by 5,200 votes. And at the time, there were only 5,800 precincts in Michigan. So if you think about it, that's less than a vote per precinct.
That is.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was it's kind of a small world thing, karma, right? Mm-hmm. It's like I'd worked all those years for other candidates, and folks like Deb Drick and so many others who might be watching today, they carried me across the finish line when I beat Gary Peters. And
Definitely. If I remember correctly, Livingston County came out big that year.
Oh, of course they did. Of course.
For you, so good.
And you'll.
Hang around. I suspect that's going to happen again.
Yeah, I'm counting on it.
Yeah.
I'm counting on it. And you know what happened? So the Friday after Election Day,
mm-hmm.
for those people who say we don't have to worry about ballot integrity, the Friday after Election Day, the city of Detroit found a bag of absentee ballots, and they thought there could be anywhere from 3,000 to 3,500 votes in there. And Gary Peters would not concede until we did a full informal recount. I was up by over 5,000, ended up being 5,200, and so the bag was never opened. So for those folks out there who say we don't have to be as diligent as we should, at the ballot integrity we absolutely do, because it didn't start in 2016, 2020.
Yep.
You know, it's been going on a long time, and we have to keep it in check.
We do. Well, in Livingston County, do you remember Senator Joe Hune?
Of course I do.
Livingston County.
Yes.
He was Livingston County's homeboy there.
And by the way, she promised me if I came on the show, it'd be like Joe Rogan's podcast, and I get to have a bourbon with her. But all I got is a water.
I
so
don't. I did not.
Yeah.
I'd have to first drink. No, I promised you.
I'm
I
sorry,
promised you
Joe
a Coke.
Hune.
Now you got me all
yeah,
messed up
yeah.
now. Joe Hune. Joe
Yeah.
Hune, when he first ran, he lost by 2 votes to our county commission chair at the time, and did a recount, and then he lost by 1 vote. He did a recount, won by 2.
Yes.
So we in this county, we do not take even 1 vote for granted. We make sure that all of them are safe and everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know, and many of us have served, especially I worked in the legislature through 3 different governors, and I did a whole bunch of you don't get voting day to yourself when you are a staffer in the legislature. You're somewhere assigned to a poll. So I remember being in those blue districts, and it is not fun. And I remember how they treated me. There were some of them were okay, but most of them were very rude and wanting other problems. So anyway, all right. So tell me why governor? Why did you had a very successful attorney general career? I remembered some of the things you did.
Yeah.
Mark is right. You did a very good job as attorney general. What brings you back now? Why are that was a minute ago, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was. So a couple things. One of the things is 3 of my 4 children are outside of Michigan.
Okay.
Right. And I have a story like so many others. And we were talking about my days in Redford Township.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a time when a working man and woman like my mom and dad, my mom was a maid, they knew that their kids in Michigan could get ahead here in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
My brothers and I all did well here in Michigan. And yet, 3 of my 4 children now are outside of Michigan. So there was that. And then the other piece is really COVID in this way. So I have 2 great granddaughters, right? And as fate would have it, they grow up they're growing up in Mississippi. And I remember my oldest daughter, Lindsay, called me up, and she and her husband, both in the Marines, and they're going to move back east, right? This is after she got back from Iraq. And she said, "Hey, Dad, we're thinking about Mississippi. We're thinking about Michigan." I'm saying, "Honey, you got to come to Michigan. This is your family. Mom and I love you. You got your younger brothers and sister here." And she said, "But Josh got a job in Mississippi." And I said, and she said, "By the way, and you always say that Governor Haley Barbour is a much better governor than Jennifer Granholm, who's the governor then." And she laughed at me, and she was right. I did always say that. But so I thought about it a couple days, Deb, and I call her back and I say, "Honey, your kids can't get educated in Mississippi." And you know that. I mean, that's how it was.
That's how it was. They were down at they were at the pits.
The
very
bottom of the
bottom. Yep.
Literally, when I
like
talked
where we are now.
Yes, they were a bottom 10 state.
Mm-hmm.
And so my granddaughters now in the Mississippi in the past decades dramatically changed. They've blown by Michigan. So
they have.
Where they were a bottom 10 state, they're now a top 20. And we've shrunk from at one time being a top 10 state to now our 4th graders read at a lower level than all but 2 states, which really means 48th. And that's despite the fact that we have the 5th highest amount of state spending on education in the country, and we have a bottom 5 turnout. So in COVID, I had kids in my neighborhood who went sideways because they couldn't go to school. At the same time, I would visit my granddaughters. They'd come up and they'd visit Laura and I and our other kids, and they were flourishing in Mississippi. And the stories of the progress of my granddaughters versus the young ladies and the young men in my neighborhood was so stark. And I started doing research, and it was just like it became like, okay, 3 of my 4 kids are out of state. Laura and I grew up here. We want to stay here. We want to get our kids and maybe some grandkids back here.
Sure.
So we got to step up. It's that simple.
Okay. All right. Well, great. So, well, now you have a unique set of experience. We have, different experiences coming into this thing, and yours comes from the Attorney General. So tell me about the experience that you've had, and then how that'll help you as a governor.
Sure. Well, you're skipping over one part, okay, which is
not on my list.
Well,
all right. What should I bring?
Well, you skipped over my business. So when I left the Attorney General's office, you didn't see me every 2 years running for office.
No, I didn't.
You did not. You said it's been a minute. It has been a minute. I spent the past 14 years building a business. And how many people running for statewide office have actually built a business? I started from scratch. My mom and dad didn't give me money. It was my money and Laura's money.
Sure.
And we borrowed. I expect you have a lot of small businessmen and women out there. They know what I'm talking about when you have to guarantee everything, right? Personal guarantees, right?
That's no fun.
And so we built a business of $0 revenue. The last 3 years, over $40 million in revenues. And so building my business, the law firm business, I had 20 employees. And, making payroll the 15th and 30th, keeping the lights on, taking care of my customers, my clients, that taught me an awful lot. And whereas before, it's kind of funny. So I'd been 21 years as a prosecutor and attorney general, right, when I left office. And so my whole time, my one brother used to joke, I spent my whole time in the public trough. And I had, but in the sense that I was like fighting for crime victims, but I'd never been in the private sector. I've had that experience the past 14 years. I built a business, and it is hard. People say, isn't politics hard? I said, no, it's a lot harder building a business, right? And keeping it open. And so I've spent the past 14 years doing that, and we just don't get governors who've had that experience. Rick Snyder had that experience, and he was a successful governor. A little different than I would be. I'm a little more conservative than him. But we do share that, like we've actually created jobs. And I think that really kind of gives me an edge, quite frankly. I've run a big department of state government, and I've been a businessman, along with my wife, businesswoman. She helped out. And
she an attorney too?
No. But she watched the money, which is pretty important.
No, you need that. Yeah,
you do need that. And during that time, I don't know if I told you this, Deb, before. My very last client was who? Can you guess? I know I'm not supposed to look at you for the camera's sake. A guy by the name of Donald J. Trump.
Get out.
Last client.
But that wasn't the Donald J. Trump.
It was.
So, the president?
Yes.
Was your client?
So the
oh my goodness! All right, do tell. I'm gonna lean back for this one.
So this fall, the RNC and the president's campaign came to me, and all during that crazy J6 stuff, my wife was represented by David Warrington, who's the president's legal counsel right now. And he was
she in the middle of that J6 stuff?
Yeah, she had to testify, and that crazy Nessel called her an indicted co-conspirator and all that kind of stuff. Yes, exactly. So, but at any rate, the president's current White House legal counsel, David Warrington, told the RNC in the campaign to get me to go into court in case we had a 2020 situation. So I was hired to go in either federal court in Grand Rapids or Detroit. But thankfully, as the president says, his win was too big to rig. So they didn't need the lawyers, but that was my last client.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what?
Not just it was Mike Rogers, the whole Republican team.
Sure.
They hired me to be the guy, and it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And they were like, oh, well, what's your rate? I said, free for this, for this team and for this president, free. So.
Well, I thought I got to sing the national anthem for Trump one time. I thought that was hot stuff. That's
no. Well, that is that's lawyers are a dime a dozen. Yeah. But singing I can't sing the national anthem.
That's all right. I can't represent Trump. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what kind of law did you primarily practice? Well, you probably had a firm that did every little.
Yeah. So I first started commercial litigation, right? Because when you're a prosecutor, you litigate, right? You're in court every day, right? And so I didn't, that was the quickest thing I could learn. And I started off auto supply company suing another auto supply company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was even going to try a little criminal defense, but I didn't like that. So what happened over time is I got people who came to me who had problems with government. And so by the end, the last 5 years, most of my cases were against governments for condemnation, eminent domain cases, government trying to take your property, or licensing issues, wetland issues. And one of the, in fact, I was a lawyer for Unlock Michigan. So when, Unlock Michigan, when they first formed the ballot committee, right, and they got to 600,000 signatures, Mark Brewer and Whitmer sued to try and get them knocked off, preemptively knocked off the ballot. So I beat Whitmer at the Court of Appeals, and I beat her at the Supreme Court. And then right after that, the Supreme Court, in a different case, ruled that the governors didn't have the emergency powers. So Unlock Michigan kind of didn't fall apart, but that other case had kind of taken care of business. So I represented groups like Unlock Michigan. I also represented, Nassar clients. And ultimately, my practice became, if you were abused by government, come to Mike Cox.
Okay, all right.
And so perhaps right down the road, right down 23, I was a lead lawyer for 1,078 folks who were suing the University of Michigan for Dr. Anderson, who was a team physician, right?
Who was the Nassar of Ann Arbor.
Yeah, and what's a crazy world is Nassar went to University of Michigan as an undergrad.
Okay.
And he was a volunteer on the training staff for the football team, and the team physician at the time was Dr. Robert Anderson.
Oh.
You cannot make this stuff up. So the two
That's
biggest
the way it's done, huh?
The two biggest mass sexual predators in America were together at the University of Michigan in 1986. Anyway, but I've digressed. But that was my practice, and it was kind of nice because I got to put the white hat on again. I wasn't a prosecutor anymore, but I got to put the white hat on again and stand up for victims of government overreach. And that was pretty cool.
Wow, you should hang around for our next guest. We got a bad case of that going on. All right, well, I'm gonna see who's here. All right, so Joni is here, and she says hello.
Good evening, Joni.
Back to Mark here. Thank you for everything you and your family do for our state and county. And then we have our Howell Township trustee, Mr. Wilson, here, saying hello. So hi, Bob. Good to see you. All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial, and then as soon as I find the commercials, where'd they go? Here they are, and then we'll be right back.
John Adams warned that the Constitution is wholly inadequate without a moral and religious people. As conservatives, we must reclaim the faith that shaped it, rooted in Jesus Christ and the Bible. To help you understand the historic Christianity that our country was founded on, check out theexaltedchrist.com, a resource website proclaiming Christ as King.
Fellow Michiganders, my name is Brian Ingdatowski, and I am here today in the beautiful city of Ann Arbor to announce my candidacy for the Michigan House of Representatives for the 48th District. I'm a 42-year-old small business owner and a lifelong Michigan resident. I live in Pinckney with my wife Jessica and my 2 sons. We have gained so much momentum in our district over the last year, that it's been noticed around the state. My family and I loved meeting so many of you on the campaign trail, from knocking on your doors or saying hi at the parades. And we continue to be more engaged than ever in our community and the surrounding areas. I often get stopped at the grocery store and asked if I will consider running again. My wife and I have countless stories like this, but we have heard your request, and I will humbly oblige. Our friends, neighbors, fellow business owners, and supporters have encouraged me to run again. So I am excited to announce my bid for office in 2026. More than ever, we need common sense representation in Lansing. There is so much work that needs to be done here in Michigan. I seek to unify our district and speak for every single person in every corner of the 48th district, and not just one side of the aisle or special interest groups. I am focused on the issues that matter the most, the things that unite us, not divide us. My platform is simple: fiscal responsibility, support public safety, educational reforms, and lowering the insurance costs here in Michigan, which are some of the highest in the country. If you are interested in supporting a blue-collar small business owner who believes in fighting for the things I just mentioned, then I'm asking for your vote on November 3rd, 2026, which will be here before you know it. Please visit my website, brian48.com, and follow us on social media as well. Please share this news with your friends, family members, coworkers, and neighbors. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch and share this announcement. And I look forward to serving you all in Lansing.
Put ourselves back on there. Okay, now we're back. Okay, so we're back, and that was Brian Zadd. We those who know from Livingston County know that Brian is our main man here on the 48th district. So we're going to do whatever we can to support him. So that was Brian. So here we are over here. We got some new Bibles that says "Keep up the good work."
All right.
All right, here comes here's another trick. Look at that. As our next governor, will you oppose digital ID and I think that's supposed to say central bank, as he types with his thumbs. Digital central bank digital currency. Also, as our next governor, what can you do to end sanctuary cities and support ICE? That's good questions,
right.
Jay.
Jay, great question. Can I go in reverse order? So,
sure.
My wife, Laura, was an ICE agent, right? She did customs enforcement, and now that's part of ICE. And so I couldn't go home and sleep with my wife if I didn't support ICE. It's that simple. Can I say it any more clear? But sanctuary cities, it's
Jay, if you didn't like watches or snowmen, what would happen? There you are.
there you go. Yeah. So look, to me, it's very simple, right? I'd follow the example of President Trump, which is I'd use a power purse to punish sanctuary cities. And so we have sanctuary cities like Lansing, Ann Arbor. We have some sanctuary counties. We have the city of Detroit, which calls itself a welcoming city. But if you look at the ordinance, it's actually a sanctuary city. So Jay, on day one, I'm going to roll out a number of executive orders. Number one would be ending DEI in the state of Michigan government and any entity that receives money from the state of Michigan, which would be every local government as well. Number two, I'd opt into the President Trump's school choice credit program, which Governor Whitmer refuses to do, to fast forward school choice in Michigan. Number three, or among other things, I would issue an executive order that all state departments have to cooperate with ICE. And as part of that, I would tell the legislature that I will not appropriate any money. I will not agree to any appropriations to cities that are sanctuary cities and that refuse to support our federal law scheme, our statutory scheme. It's that simple. In terms of digital currency, I'm going to leave that to the president. I think his efforts on stablecoin and other efforts are the right things to do. And in terms of central bank digital currency, I'm not for that. So hopefully I answered your questions.
Yeah,
thanks for that.
Okay. And then we have Joni Louise. Oh, Mike, you are a fascinating man with an impressive background. Yes, he is.
Well, thank you, Joni.
Yes. Okay, so let me ask this. What in Livingston County we put on classes. I put on how to get, very, very basic first time lectures. We put on our classes. And I always tell everybody that the most qualified isn't necessarily going to be the one that gets elected. It's 100% of the time it's the most electable. And I tell them to become electable, they have to have the most portions of what we call Drick election pie. And the Drick election pie is a piece of pie with a bunch of slices. And the slices are endorsements and sign locations and name recognition and money and message and blah, blah, blah. So what pie slices might you have really good, healthy pieces of? And what pie slices do you need to kind of work to develop?
Well, I think the number one pie slice, I think every Republican I meet out there is tired of losing at the state level. I mean, aren't we?
Yep.
And every Republican I meet out there wants to elect a Republican governor. And so my slice is for primary voters who want to win, I'm the guy. Because like President Trump, I've actually won statewide and beat Democrats statewide. I've done it twice. And very few people can say that. And so if you want someone, so my slice is...
You get as many slices as you want.
Well, okay, number two.
Okay.
All right. So for those people who like what the president's doing on illegal aliens, what the president's doing on DEI, well, in 2007, Deb, there was this attorney general in Michigan who found out the Secretary of State was issuing driver's licenses to illegals. And what happened? That attorney general stopped the practice. And in fact, from your time in the legislature, every year the Democrats introduce a bill to try and undo the opinion I did, or stopping the Secretary of State from giving illegals driver's license. I'm stumbling a little bit. It's the end of the night. But so if you like what Trump did on that,
it's not water, is it?
And it is water. All right, it is. It's
okay.
Body armor water from the. All right. So if you like that, you're in my slice. Who else is in my slice? So those folks who are against DEI. I was the only statewide Republican. There was maybe Candace Miller and this guy Brooks Patterson and I who fought to ban affirmative action, make it part of our Michigan Constitution. Now the three women in Lansing ignore it now, but it's there. And I'm the guy. If you like that, you're in my slice. So if you like winners, if you like people who fought illegal immigration before it was cool, if you like people who fought DEI, before President Trump made it politically popular, I fought it when it wasn't politically popular. I'm your guy.
All right.
Here's another slice.
Okay.
If you like Doge government, that's another one of my slices. Why do I say that? Well, when I was, you were part of the legislature, work for our legislators, that the Attorney General doesn't get a say on the amount of money the Attorney General's given, and very little say. And so during my time as Attorney General, I actually had to shrink the staff by 21%. So if you like someone who knows how to cut the size of government, you're in my slice.
All right.
And so how many more slices is there left out of primary
voters? Oh my God,
voters?
there's like a billion of them. And the slices are more or less strengths, and it's name recognition. You have a name recognition. You have experience.
Yes.
What's your social media presence? What's your sign locations like? What's your message? What's your have you done good in fundraising? So those are all different slices. What slices do you think you need to work on that you need to build up a little bit? Maybe they're a little skinny, maybe a little leaner than you'd like them.
Social media I'm working on, but and other than that is getting back out and meeting folks, because I've been building a business, right?
Sure.
And that's all. That was 24/7. Right.
No, I get it. I did that once.
Yes, and so I need to reach out and meet more legislators. But that's really it. Fundraising. I had the most money on hand of anyone. The last reporting period. We have to report next Monday, and
that's why we're getting all the last minute texts.
Yes,
just $5. Can you do $5?
Yeah, well, the cutoff was yesterday, so you won't be bothered for a little bit. But you're gonna see I did pretty nice, and I'm not gonna fall behind in any money race. So, all right.
Okay.
Look, I've been this rodeo before, and I don't plan on losing.
What's different now in your race than back then? What different challenges do you have campaigning that you didn't have then? Let me throw this out. There was no social media back then. You just said you're working on social media, so that would be a good example. Right. We weren't tweeting and Instagramming and Facebooking back then.
X was
maybe
around
maybe
in
MySpace.
Facebook. Yeah, no.
Well, but everybody didn't use it back then.
I agree. So that's different. But that's
anything else different now?
Cool podcasts like this. All right, that's great.
Okay, all right.
No, but look, at the end of the day, it's about telling people what you're going to do, raising money, and going out and working and meeting people.
Okay.
So, like when I said my first time out, I'd shake people's hands, go talk to them, and raise money. I didn't really know what I was doing. Well, I didn't know it, but I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's probably the best thing you could have done.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, right? And and I'll tell you, politics is easy compared to building your own business. I'll say it again. I'm out 7 days a week. Follow me on social media, Mike _Cox. Go to my Facebook. You're going to see this dude's out working every single day. But it's a lot easier running for office than it is building your business. It's that simple. So if I'm missing a few slices, I'm going to find them. I'm going to eat them.
Yeah. Well, we try to, everybody has their strengths and I asked everybody the same question.
Right.
So, how would you describe your leadership style?
It's a style I learned in the Marine Corps. Number 1, set the example.
Okay.
Number 2, communicate clearly. Number 3, hold people accountable. Number 4, build a team, encourage in your folks. And 5, most importantly, is accomplish the mission, right?
Okay.
That's the Marine Corps way. I wear this band. I've worn it for years. It's really faded. U.S. Marines.
All right.
I have a silly tattoo that reminds me on my arm as well.
Silly tattoo.
And
did you wake up with it?
No. I knew I was getting it. Right.
Okay.
And it's actually kind of cool. The only problem is at the bottom it says it was USMC, so it's an eagle, right? And USMC underneath the eagle. But my wife, being the eternal poker of my ego, says to me a couple of years ago, goes to me and says, "You were in the Marines?" I said, "Yeah, honey, yeah." He goes, "And that's USMC, right?" And I said, "Yes, of course it is. You know that." Our daughter, it was a few years ago, and I said, "Yes, of course." And she said, "Well, why is it USMO on your arm? Did your arm shrink and the C came together?" Maybe it shrunk a little bit, okay? But I can still do pull-ups and push-ups.
All right. So, and you led your leadership style that you just described. That's how you led as an AG?
That's how I led as a Marine squad leader.
Okay.
That's how I led as the head of the homicide unit in Wayne County.
Okay.
To give you an idea, my boss was a Democrat, and they kept promoting me because I got things done.
All right. Okay.
And then I became Attorney General and built my own business. Same style. It's all about set the example. Communicate clearly, unlike I'm doing right now. I'm fighting a sore throat.
That's okay.
And hold people accountable, including yourself. Build the team and accomplish the mission.
So I guess the next question would be a silly one. When I say, are you going to lead differently as a governor than you would have as an AG? I'm going to.
Well,
the answer is no.
I'm more experienced.
Sure.
I'm more experienced. I've had more life experiences. I've been out in the private sector. So, you grow with time, right?
Sure.
And I think that makes me a better candidate. But the principles are kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if all the candidates, if it comes right down to the last day and all the candidates are completely, oh, wait, we have Commissioner Sample. He says, "Lead by example." That's his.
No, I got that.
Yeah,
That's his hook.
That's his hook. That's right. So, very good, Frank. That was well.
Frank,
timed.
I like that.
Yeah,
good job.
Just absolutely well timed. So, if everything was, all things were equal, and you needed to just get that, what about you will nudge somebody right over the edge, or would nudge you right over the edge, nudge that voter right over the edge to get you?
I'll go anywhere for a vote, right?
Okay.
And I'll talk plainly to anyone. Look, I talk to people like adults, and I like people to ask me the questions.
Okay.
And so I think ultimately people like clear answers, and that's what I provide.
Okay. Awesome.
I think.
I think so. So let's move ahead. Let's make a big assumption that you do get elected.
No assumption.
Okay.
That's
all right.
a win.
All right. Let's take that win. We'll take that win. We'll take that win. We'll take that win.
Yes.
And now you're the Republican nominee. This is primary time. The day
Yes.
after primary. You take a day of rest and then you're back at it.
No rest.
Oh, no rest. Okay.
No rest.
What are you going to do? What is your strategy? How are you going to beat Michael Duggan?
Oh, that's easy.
You think?
Oh yeah. Look at the polls. I beat him in polls right now. Any Republican beats him in polls.
Okay.
Here's the reality. A couple things. Number one, I'm going to keep fundraising. Number two, I'm going to keep working. Number three, I'm going to keep talking to the people of Michigan in the same way I talked to people growing up and who are working folks, because that's the swing vote, right? Working folks, voters, right? And those are people I grew up with. And my brother-in-law right now is building F-150 trucks. A Dearborn truck is a UAW worker. So that's how I won. That's how I won cases in Wayne County and Detroit, talking to people. So I'll keep doing those things. In terms of Mike Duggan, Mike Duggan spent 40 years as a Democrat boss. All right.
Mm-hmm.
A week before the election, he was hugging Kamala Harris. He just said 2 weeks. He says every 2 weeks, I haven't changed one position. So he's against things like right to work. He's for more forced unionization. If you think that school choice is a good thing, he's against it. In fact, in the city of Detroit, where Gretchen Whitmer is trying to defund charter schools, over half the kids go to charter schools inside his city, and he won't even stand up for those kids. It'll be easy to beat him.
Okay.
And that,
Yeah,
when
I
I
know
say
what you're
easy,
saying, yeah.
I work hard, but we do the things we're supposed to do. But his ideas are 40 years outdated.
I am shocked. I am shocked, and other people I speak to on this subject are shocked at the Republicans that are supporting him. I am just shocked at that number, and I don't get it. And when we have the ultimate debate about it, I usually throw them back and say, show me one Republican candidate or policy that he supported, and then I will give you some ground here.
Right.
Nobody ever has. I'm still waiting. Crickets, So
yeah, everyone wants to think they're independent-minded.
Mm-hmm.
You're independent-minded. I'm independent-minded. But we have a view of life, having lived life experiences, read things, right? And so, there's always a bit of he's a shiny new penny right now. But when people start looking at the things he's done, the policies he supported, and the real story of Detroit, right? And so he's given big connected developers tax money to build new buildings while the neighborhoods in Detroit have cleared out. Right. Detroit has shrunk. If you took the 9% drop in Detroit's population during time there, you apply to the state of Michigan, that's almost 750,000 people leaving. Second highest violent crime rate in America. Ultimately, voters will learn those things too, and they'll come down to choosing the Republican nominee, me.
I see that. I see his campaign, the world's most successful mayor or whatever.
Right.
I worked, the senator I worked for at the time, Senator Mark Jansen. I was his chief of staff, and our office was the liaison with the governor's Bill Rustum, the initiatives guy.
Right.
And Governor Snyder set up that kind of initiative to kind of fix Detroit. And I remember Mayor Duggan being kind of in the way. And it was we would kind of the liaison between the Senate and the governor's office as it was pertained to Detroit. I remember taking legislators on bus tours to show them what was going on, and it was all, any improvement that happened, that was all Governor Snyder. That had nothing to do with the mayor, and the mayor, like I said, was, if anything, was a thorn in our side trying to get that done.
100%, Deb. He fought against everything Rick Snyder did, and Rick Snyder cleaned the balance sheet.
Yep.
And if Dave Bing had been the mayor, then Dave Bing would be viewed differently.
Sure.
Well, let me put it this way. This year in the city of Detroit, over 50 children have been shot. 51% of the children in Detroit live beneath the poverty line. That is not a successful mayoralty when he's been there for 12 years. It's that simple. But we'll get the word out when the time comes.
Okay.
Voters will know the real story.
Okay. All right. Good. I'm glad that you're on that. Here's our big chunk of the Republican Party in Wayne County. I wish the primary election was earlier than August, so you'd have more time to campaign for the general, especially with the absentee ballot votes. I wish that too. I had heard at some point that was it Governor Whitmer was trying to take the primary and back it up. That went nowhere. I don't think I followed that.
That hasn't. Look, as someone who got picked at a convention and won, I can win in short general campaigns. But there's two schools of thought. If the one you just talked about, the other school of thought is for homeboy here, Mike Rogers. He's got 3 crazy people running on the other side. They're going to keep beating each other up, and so
right.
So that later primary should really help future Senator Rogers.
He was behind me 2 years in school.
Was he? Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. When you knew Mike's mother was, she basically was the unchallenged queen of Livingston County. She was the one that if it didn't happen, if Joyce didn't say it wasn't going to happen, it didn't happen. He can talk about his dad all day long. Let me tell you something. His dad was a character, but Joyce was the
power behind
the whole county.
Okay.
So anyway, she was a admirable woman. She was a force to be reckoned with. So, all right. Well, what else should we know about you before we send you back to Wayne County with your water in hand?
Well, I tried to learn to play the guitar a couple of years ago.
Did you?
I failed.
A couple of years ago, or a long time ago?
My wife tried to get me to join to golf.
Okay.
And tried to get me to play guitar. She bought me a guitar and 12 lessons. And I had a great teacher, and he had a health issue. He stopped teaching me. But the bottom line is, I'm not good at hobbies. And so I just like to work.
You have no hobby at all? Nothing?
I work out every morning at 5:30.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? So
you go to Tiger games or Lions?
Oh,
yeah.
And I'm reading the memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant.
Oh my goodness, my husband loves that too.
Yeah, so I'm a Civil War buff.
Okay. Oh, so is he.
Yeah, so if I have a hobby, it's working out most every morning.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's a de-stress to get you pumped up and ready to go.
It is.
But no guitar, huh? Darn it. Here I am a singer. We could have done something.
I was out doing push-ups in the parking lot getting ready for you, Deb. I hear you really grill everyone. I wanted to get ready. So I was like, I'm a
tough old bird. Yeah. All right, here's Curtis. Will you prohibit Sharia law in Michigan? That's a good question.
Oh, yeah. Look, we have a First Amendment, and which prohibits establishment of any religion. So, yes. Here's the reality. At least I found most Muslims I've met in Wayne County, they don't want to have anything to do with Sharia law. They're here for a reason.
Yes.
And it was those people that President Trump spoke to, and so many of them turned out for him and helped provide the winning margin. Those folks who didn't want to live in a theocracy, right? And love the First Amendment as much as we do. So
yeah,
there we have it.
So I think another slice, if you will, of your pie is as I said, statewide people are looking at Duggan as a challenge simply because it's the newness of the independent. And I've never ever believed that Michigan, in my opinion, has a big independent base.
Right.
That doesn't mean they're going to buy that he's an independent, but that some of the, being from Wayne County, he would command just from name recognition a good chunk of the votes. But having you be from Wayne County as well,
that's right.
That is another big old fatty slice, I think.
It is, and for 13 years, every single day I taught the Detroiters as a prosecutor. So, and I think that gave me, when I beat Gary Peters, that was the winning margin. And 4 years later, I won by 10%, 300,000 votes. So I know how to talk to voters, and many of the voters who switched to President Trump or became, like I like to call it, Trump friendly. Right. They're not. They don't say they're Republicans yet, and they may never be. But they like someone who understands a working class perspective, likes the guns, supports the Second Amendment. Doesn't attack their social and cultural mores.
Sure.
Understands that tolerance is about respecting people where they're at and not lecturing them, which we've had too much lecturing from the folks in Lansing and not enough doing.
Agreed.
And when I'm there, I'm going to be doing and not lecturing.
So you have worked with the legislature before.
Right.
That's another bonus here because I watched when Governor Snyder came in and with interest. And I think all of us saw when he first came in, I think he was taken aback by the fact that the legislature weren't a bunch of little vice presidents that had to, follow the rules, and they fought back right away.
Right.
And I remember him getting interviewed and asking about an initiative and whether he was pushing an initiative, and he kind of laughed, and he was very open about it. He said, "Nope, I've learned my lesson. We're working together." And I was very, very genuine, and I appreciated that. So, when I interview the Secretary of State or Attorney General candidates here, one of the questions I always ask them is, what is your experience in working with the legislature? Because you can have all the great ideas you want, but if you don't have somebody or you don't know how to work, you don't understand that role, you're not going to get what you need. So where do you have or what have you done before that has prepared you? I mean, you can say an Attorney General, but is there something in particular that
there's a number of things, right?
Yeah.
So before I was Attorney General, I was in a union in Wayne County where, union procedures, you have to interact and try and build coalitions. We're the most Republican union in the country. But
that's sort of Republican, and then a little bit of
because
an
they're all
oxymoron there.
but it was all prosecutors.
Right,
so how
okay.
we were going to be, we didn't buy the Democrat nonsense. But so I worked with people to move policies forward there. Like I said, my bosses were always Democrats in Wayne County, and so I find that most people react positively to competence. And if you deliver for legislators and constituents, people rally around that. And I think that was probably your experience too, Deb. And so then I was Attorney General and dealt with the legislature all the time. Attorney General's opinions are questions from the legislature. Now, I didn't always say I traded votes, but if I respected legislators and gave them the respect they're due, and I would interact with them. And the same, in building a business. So in my U of M case, there were 63 lawyers. I was picked as the main leader, the main negotiator for a $500 million settlement, the second or third largest settlement ever in Michigan history. There were 63 lawyers as part of that group. There was maybe 3 Republicans, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I'm used to leading building teams. That's what you learn in the Marine Corps, because it's not all orders, right? In the Marine Corps, right? You build unit cohesion. And so I did the same thing as a prosecutor. Part of a prosecutor, you have to convince 12 jurors,
right,
to get to the same spot, right? And the same thing in as AG as a legislator, same thing as a lawyer. And it's just been something I've had to do my whole life. So I don't know. And plus, I'm the son of Irish immigrants. So so it's like there was a lot of arguing back and forth and team building, right?
Okay,
so,
no, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So we have another Mr. Clark here. Michigan Economic Development Corporation has taken millions of taxpayer funding with very few jobs created.
Right.
Would you be willing to eliminate this wasteful NGO?
Yes. Yes. Look, I mean, you go online, and for those who still read papers, you go online, you look at your paper, go on social media, Google Faye Baydoun, and you see everything that's wrong with the MEDC, right? $20 million of taxpayer money given to a woman for an entity that wasn't even formed when the legislature voted on it. And when they voted on it, she was having dinner with the head of the MEDC. And of course, she was one of Whitmer's big fundraisers.
Right.
That is all about connected corporate cronyism. And to build a real economy, what you really need to do is you need to lower the burdens on everyone so that anyone with a good idea, hard work ethic can get ahead in Michigan, build a business the right way. Look, it's like Elon Musk, right? He's the richest man in the world. Has he failed in picking businesses? Yes. Mm-hmm. And so what makes a governor think that he or she could say, oh yeah, if we give $500 million to this project, this is going to take off? No, it doesn't work that way. The best way is lower the costs on everyone, cut taxes on everyone. I'm the only candidate running. You said one of the slices of pie. My slice of the pie are those people who think they're overtaxed, because I'm the only person who's taken the no tax pledge, the Americans for Tax Reform. And I'm the only one advocating completely eliminating the income tax, because the 9 states that are prospering, the 10 most prosperous states, mm-hmm. 9 of them don't have an income tax. But getting back to Curtis's question, mm-hmm. lower the burden on everyone and create a healthy garden, right? My mom was a dairy farmer in Ireland. I don't know a lot about farming, but we did potato, always had a garden when I was growing up. Create the healthy soil so that every good plant, every good business can grow, and instead of trying to pick winners and losers. That's for the horse track, or that's for online gaming, or that's for the Michigan State game coming up this weekend.
Which way are you yelling?
Well, I'm a Wolverine.
Oh, that's right.
But I'm married to a Spartan, so don't tell her who I'm cheering for. Okay.
That's all right. I'll be cheering with her. Okay. All right. Well, that's a good analogy. I was going to ask you. I actually brought up here economic development. I was wondering what your plans were, so that sort of answered that. So are you going to have any kind of, I don't know. I don't know. Economic development organization isn't maybe the word, and certainly that one wasn't. But would there? I mean, maybe an ombudsman or something like that. That will help.
Yes. Look, you need a part of state government in the governor's office that goes out and sells Michigan, right? Mm-hmm. You think about it, and it's one thing that gives me hope of how we can turn this state around, right? Because we still, when my dad walked across the Blue Water Bridge and hitchhiked down to Detroit to meet his sponsor, and then 90 days later got drafted and sent to Korea. When he came here, he came to a state with 10,000 inland lakes, more coastline than any place in America except for Alaska, touching 4 Great Lakes on an international border, and I-94 was just being built after he got back from Korea. That's the gateway North American trade. All those things are still here. We're just undervaluing our assets, and we got to go out and we sell in Michigan where so you're a small businessman or woman. We're not going to tax, because if you're a small business, you're taxed at the income tax rate on your business, right? And so we're going to let you keep that money to grow your business, right? If you're a young person in Michigan, we're not going to take 4.25% out of you, every year. In fact, you save that for 1, 2, or 3 years. You got enough for a down payment on a house here in Michigan. And so we're going to go out and sell that. We're going to go out and sell that. We're going to become a right to work state, and that we're not going to discriminate again, but we're going to keep it.
Right.
And the way you do that is you keep selling it, and you keep fighting for it, because people will see that right to work says, hey, union jobs are welcome, but all jobs are welcome even more.
Sure.
And we're not going to scare anyone away. And that will drive people to take another look at Michigan. And we have great assets. You know, we have more engineering talent. We've been losing a lot over the past decade, but we have more engineering talent than anywhere in the world except for maybe the Silicon Valley. And so, you know, if you want to build, if you want to trade, we're going to be the state to come to. Because, look, who wants to be in Florida or Texas in the summertime? It's oppressive, right? Come to here with Great Lakes, great
Beautiful
natural
seasons,
beauty,
yeah.
beautiful seasons. Yeah, you know, and we're going to rebuild our schools, and it's going to be a hopping place, Deb.
Well, Curtis Clark says, thank you, great answer. It was a very, very good answer. So let me ask you this. You just, one more, you keep giving me things and I spin off.
Okay.
So you were talking about what was there before is still here now. What is different now is there's a great deal of e-commerce. How do you plan on capitalizing on that?
Well, e-commerce, the object's to make money, right? The people run e-commerce. So if you show e-commerce companies that you can come to Michigan, we're not going to overburden you, that your employees can go to their kids can go to good public schools or good charter schools, and I'm gonna opt into President Trump school choice tax credit, that there's going to be ways for your kids to get educated in the ways that you support, and that we're not going to be overregulated, that we're going to have eliminated the income tax, and we're going to be a right to work state. E-commerce will be coming here, brick and mortar commerce will be coming here, and we will become that magnet that we once were.
Well, I have one last question, and it's really
make it an easy one. You've been too tough on me
tonight. No, can't do that.
Okay.
So this one is actually kind of going to be a segue to a later section.
Okay.
We have a data center proposed coming here, and people are absolutely losing their mind over it.
Right.
You know, you got some people that see the money and see the money that comes in, and you have other people that are I mean, rightly, you know, I get it. Going to have one, so they're scared. They don't, they're afraid the water's going to dry up, that electricity is going to, jack up, that they're going to be looking at terrible things and hearing a jet engine going off in their backyard all day long. So do you have any knowledge, experience, anything about data centers? And if you do, what in a couple of sentences would you say about them?
Well, a couple things, right? I have the knowledge that many of your viewers and listeners have, which reading and doing personal research, right? Clearly, the president's put a priority on AI, beating China in AI, and data centers are a necessary evil. One thing I'm not going to do, though, is do what Governor Whitmer did, which is to push the Green New Scam.
Right.
When she had control of the House and Senate, push through changes that, for the first time in 150 years, took local zoning away from local communities, the ability to say no to wind towers or solar panels, right? So I think if there's places in the state that want data centers, like, for instance, in Delray along the river in Detroit, it's completely deserted now. It might be the right kind of place. I don't know.
Yeah.
But other places, there'll be other communities and townships that want it.
Sure.
But those who don't want it, I'm not going to take away your power to say no, because that's what local control is about.
Yeah.
But
that solar farm and wind turbine farms, that I keep saying this, that it's one of the things we've got to be very, very careful to do next year. We all have to contribute, because we cannot afford to lose. We have to take the Senate, we have to keep the House, we have to take the governor, and that's all there is to it, because otherwise we are stuck with these stupid data farms, or these not data farms, the solar farms and the wind turbine farms. They're terrible. And you're right. Governor Whitmer took away the local community's ability to say no. Now, somebody's going to email me or text me or put on Facebook, oh, well, no, we can still do this and still do this. Good luck. Yeah. You're going to take them to court. You're going to go to court. She owns all the appellate courts right now. And the only thing you can do is stall and hope that we get some Republican leadership in there, because if we don't get all three, you're stuck. So
no hope in there. It's going to happen. I guarantee it.
yeah,
next
I
year.
know. I hope so. I mean, I know so. I'm
Okay.
sure of it. I just don't know how many of these solar farms are going to be able to hang out in court for another 14 months, and then however long it takes to get that law overturned. So you'll be signing the law that overturns that.
Yeah, look, if solar farms and wind farms, either of those, can survive on their own without us paying the way and without and local communities accept them and
Yes.
and aren't stuck with the PSC doing
Right,
zoning,
right.
then more power to those communities, right?
Mhm.
But I want all forms of energy to have to compete on who's going to be the cheapest and most reliable and safest for Michiganders. My son, my youngest son, the one who went wayward, went into the Navy and became an officer. Half the Navy, he's on a destroyer. It's not nuclear power, but half his friends from the Naval Academy are on nuclear subs or nuclear powered ships, and nuclear is as safe as it gets. So I'm all about, for our energy needs going forward, I'm all above nuclear, clean coal, natural gas. And if solar and wind can compete without us jamming it down locals' throats, then more power to it. But I'm all about safe and reliable, because ultimately, and that was one thing, you asked about slices of pie. So, who fought Blue Cross to lower insurance rates when the legislature didn't act? I did, right? And saved hundreds of millions of dollars when I was AG. Same with the utility, saved over $3.4 billion, $3.1 billion in new rates. So, and part of what the evilness or the disingenuous of the Whitmer Green scam is that she reconfigured the PSC to push through all these green energy scams. And here's what's the shame of it. It hits us at our houses when we turn on the light or turn on the heat, but it also hits us for jobs, because manufacturers and they rely on energy costs, and Michigan is 20% higher than the rest of the Midwest.
Yes.
So getting back to your question, it's about local control, but I'm gonna invite any business that wants to come here and make Michigan great again to come here.
Right. And I agree with you. I mean, it has to be the locals. I know that this, we have a lot of farmland here, and
Right.
those solar companies are coming in and causing all kinds of havoc here. They want to buy, and they want to plant, or they want to lease, or whatever it is they do. And and we have communities fighting it. And I just fear that they're going to lose, because they just have the thing. And I keep saying, I don't have a problem with solar. I just have a problem with, if a community says we're going to raise, we're going to get a quorum and the majority votes, and we want solar, good. Go do it. It's a good idea, but I don't like that. Here's these poor people that don't want it, and there's nothing they can do.
100%.
That's just awful. And we have one woman in a little town north of here that 3 sides she is surrounded by now.
Oh,
It's gonna
boy.
be. I know. And it's like, how is she ever going to sell her house?
Right.
All right. So Sharon says, great answer, Mike. Thank you for respecting and supporting local control. And Curtis Clark, we can gain more local control by voting in a home rule charter. Would you support or promote home rule? I don't know what home rule is. Do you?
Well, there is home rule in the Constitution and legislature. So I'm Curtis. I'm not certain what he's referring to.
Okay. Not sure. If you wanna, we'll give you a minute here. If you want to type up something a little bit more specific. Are you talking about homeschooling, or home rule charter? I don't know what home rule charter is. But anyway, so all right. Well, that's our big dilemma.
Is this a wrap?
Here.
Oh no. Okay.
No, you want to keep talking? You can talk.
Okay.
I've got. I have to make sure. That we're going to go for a real quick comment, and I'm going to see where our next guests are, if they're here or not.
Oh, so you're going to throw me out if your next guest is here? Come on, Deb.
I'm not.
No, that's okay.
No, I'm not.
No, I get it.
Join the party.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe. We fight to keep boys and men out of girls and women's sports.
We fight to
keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why? Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did. Okay, here we are again, and we gave Curtis a minute here. Home rule is a choice for more local control. Well, Mike has 4 local control, so I don't think that explained it real well, but I think if it's local control, there's a good chance that he's gonna at least talk about it. I would say.
Curtis, you can go to my website, www.mikecox2026, and send me the question. I think I know what you're talking about, but we do have home rule charters. They're part of the Constitution, but if you want a more specific answer, just send me an email. But thanks for participating.
Okay, so we have that. So Mark says you are awesome, and we
So
agree.
are you, Mark.
So here we go. The right
right.
side there. So you can go here, and they can click an email there to you.
Yes.
Somewhere. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's it, Mike. We appreciate you coming back.
Just throw me
again.
out.
I know.
Throw me out.
It's only been 6 days since you were here before, so Mike was here during our fantastic Reagan Day. If you missed it, we are pointing at you and laughing.
Great, yeah.
Wow, people are still talking about that. So
I'm coming back for Deb's Thanksgiving dinner.
That's right. I tell you what, this lady makes a mean bird. So
I know.
you'll be
We have
glad.
40 people over my house. So
Oh, okay, all right.
I'll have to host.
All right. Okay, well, all right. Well, thanks again for coming out, and we'll be back in just a minute here. We're going to bring on, we have Aaron and Jake Curry, and we're going to talk about more government overreach. So be right back.
Ready to make your real estate dreams a reality? Meet Lisa R., your trusted expert in Livingston County. With 25 years in the real estate marketplace, she offers a seamless, stress-free experience. As a Real Estate One agent, Lisa has access to a network of over 2,000 agents and a one-stop shop for mortgage, title, and insurance services. Call Lisa R. at 734-260-7277 or visit her at Real Estate One in Brighton. Let her help you find your dream home or sell your property with confidence.
John Adams warned that the Constitution is wholly inadequate without a moral and religious people. As conservatives, we must reclaim the faith that shaped it, rooted in Jesus Christ and the Bible. To help you understand the historic Christianity that our country was founded on, check out theexaltedchrist.com, a resource website proclaiming Christ as King.
welcome again, and this time we're welcoming Aaron and Jake Curry. They're coming here. They're involved in a whole bunch of fun stuff. So I have been talking to Aaron now for several months about the fun he's having with the city of Howell. So before we go too much farther, give me some background on you and your son Jake, and kind of talk about, like, you know, your where you live, how long you've been here, what you do, all that sort of thing.
Sure. From 0 to 13, I lived on Bowen Road in Howell Township. At 13 years old, we moved out to a 60-acre farm on Allen Road, which was split 40 acres in Cohocton Township and 20 acres in Howell Township.
Okay.
Came through all the Howell schools, elementary, middle, and high school. Graduated from Howell High School in 1990. And at 18, earned my real estate license. At 21, earned my broker's license, and I'm now 54, and we have a couple of real estate offices here in Livingston County.
Okay. And Jake, you're a realtor too?
I am, yep.
Okay.
So I went to Hidden Springs Christian School until 8th grade, and then there was 4 kids in my class, and unfortunately they ended up shutting down the school portion of that.
Okay.
And I transferred to Fowlerville High School.
Okay.
Where I graduated in 2013.
Okay.
And then I ended up doing some college at Lake Superior State University, and coming back and worked a couple of jobs. One was for a property management company in downtown Howell, and then got the opportunity to go work for Quicken Loans when it was still Quicken Loans.
Oh, wow.
They made the transition to Rocket Mortgage.
Sure.
And then when the economy started to go down and they were reducing some staff there, I was able to take a buyout and go to work for the family business.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you have your office, or a office, is on Michigan, or D19, I guess it's the Michigan Avenue D19 kind of line, right there where if you are coming off the exit ramp, it's the loop. So if you're coming from which side?
So exit 137.
Going west?
As you come off,
you're heading west.
From the east going west.
Yes.
As you come off, you would look across the street to the right. We have a little red house there.
So you're going west and you turn, but you do that horseshoe, and then when you stop at that light, you're facing east again, and that's where their office is. Right, this kind of goes down a little bit of hill, and you have okay. So talk about, pretend that people here do not know what you went through without going into the bunny holes. Talk about kind of what's going on there.
All right. So to back it up a little bit, in 2008 when the economy crashed, essentially there was just lots of things lost. We bought that real estate in 2014, had done some light remodeling to it, and moved our real estate office into it. It was about 1,200 square feet. It served our purpose. We're on a third of an acre right there, and we just did what we needed to do and got back up and running after the economy crashed. It had become, later there was, the Silver Brothers owned 7 acres around me, and they had asked me to list it for sale and sell it because we were the local real estate brokers, obviously being right there. We did that. It went to Cornerstone Development. He sat on it for a couple of years. During that period of time, Motorsports there were several buyers that came into the city of Howell. The city of Howell was in a lawsuit back in 1996 with a developer who had intended to develop the property between D19 and Lucy Road. The road out in front was to be improved to improve the intersection, and it went to court because they argued over whether it was the city's responsibility to make the road improvements or the developers. It looked like the city was going to lose, and therefore they entered into negotiations with the developers, and just shortly prior to the judge rendering a decision, they came to a settlement. They used city resources, paid what had been agreed to, and essentially bought the property from the developers so that the road improvements didn't need to be made at that point. They sat on it through this whole period of time from 1996, I believe, till about 4 years ago, had it for sale several times. Several buyers came in. Local developers came in who wanted to put up houses, and there was a big developer out of Ann Arbor who came in that said, look, we'll do all the infrastructure, we'll do the roads, we'll build houses. And then also there was developers out of Novi who had a really creative idea for the Motorsports Gateway, which is similar to the M1 Concourse, to bring in and develop car condos. The city pushed away everybody else who had came in to make the offer and had elected to go with these folks. They went through about a 18 month to 2 year period of making their determinations, doing their engineering, ensuring that they had proper accessibility, all these types of things. Thought it was in order and pulled the plug, closed on the property, and started to develop it. And in the interim, from that point forward, the 7 acres around me was also sold to the Quick Trip Corporation, which is out of Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And they have now decided that they're going to bring the first Quick Trip. It's a $1 billion corporation. They're going to bring the first Quick Trip to Michigan, and that's the spot to put it. In every case, there's one more layer to it. The city has taken on bonds and started to pave Lucy Road, extend water and sewer down to Padnos. And the intent was, which is a terrific idea, by the way, to create this loop road that runs from beside our office back to Lucy Road, so that we can start to defer part of the ambulances and the trucks and buses, and
basically free up the 20-minute backup on D19 on the busy times. Yes,
or anything like that. Sure. And so all of those things are appropriate. But what we still haven't established is MDOT wants the road out in front of our office to be improved. So because there's a bridge that goes right over I-96, and there's a short period of space. What's the distance there, Jake? We measured it.
It's less than 500 feet.
Okay.
I can't recall what the exact amount is off the top of my head.
So there's 4 lanes going into town, 2 lanes coming off the expressway, 2.5 lanes out in front of us, and 500 feet to a bridge, which is on a turn and a decline. So you can just imagine the timing of that light. If you add another lane and more traffic, what will happen with the cars from that light back to the bridge, which would create a serious traffic
concern. Did they do a traffic study on this?
They did a traffic impact study. Motorsports Gateway did. The Michigan Department of Transportation said, okay, we'll let you essentially run a 2-track from that light back to your car condos into the development district. But there can't be any connection to the Lucy Road because, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm assuming the concern would be that there would be too much traffic based on timing at the light. And there can be no additional development until the improvements to D19 or Michigan Avenue are made out front.
So they got a traffic study, they proposed, and the city didn't fight back and say, oh, no, you've got to have this wider, it's too much traffic, too little, or did they?
The city, it was hard to get information. Now, this was a different crew. The city manager subsequently, a few months ago, put his keys on the counter and said, I'm retiring.
Sure.
Just prior to that, the city attorney had put his keys on the counter and said, I'm out of here too.
Boy, Mike Cox was talking about how tough I am.
Well, you know, they there's a YouTube video on it, and I'm sure you've seen it.
I've seen it, yeah.
And a lot of people have. They had essentially sent the DPW so our lot is in Marion Township. Okay. It was never annexed to the city of Howell, and therefore the city of Howell has no jurisdiction over our lot, our little third of an acre.
Okay.
Everything else around us is the city of Howell. Well, in 1947, there was a road out front that used to be the old inter-county connection road.
Okay.
When the expressway came through in 1957, they eliminated it. They obliterated it, is what it's called. And now Michigan Avenue, or D19, was created with a bridge that goes over the expressway. The southern portion of the road still existed. It has a street sign. It says it's a dead end. It says Old Pickney Road. The other portion of it was simply used as a 2-track by Panhandle Eastern with an
Okay.
easement so that they could get back and service their gas wells. Long story short, we showed up to work one morning. Jake and I had put up a couple of poles and a cable because the developers were bringing big construction equipment through. And like I said, a turn with a blind hill, and they're racing out in front. And it's just not safe. It wasn't safe for people at our office.
They were semis with double gravel trains attached to the back.
Oh,
And,
man.
going up that hill, we actually have a video on our YouTube. They would, because it's such a steep incline, if they got to the top and hit their brakes, they would slide down. So they wouldn't even stop. They would just wait till there was an opening on D19 and blow through our parking lot
Oh,
and
my
get
God.
onto D19.
So
Do you have a channel that we can put up there? What's your YouTube channel?
I believe the videos that it's on is called Real Estate Agent Rockstar, Aaron Curry.
Is it like all one word?
Yep.
Real estate agent.
It'd be
Rockstar.
YouTube. It wouldn't be www.
Right.
It'd be YouTube.
So we put up these 2 poles and a cable,
Yep.
just simple, to stop the construction traffic because it was a danger to the people in our community out front of D19 and
Rockstar.
a danger to the people who were pulling in and out of our office. And we were greeted by the city of Howell tearing down our cable and poles on our property in Marion Township. So they called and said, hey, we've got your property. You can come get it. Jake and I went to
Oh,
the
wow.
DPW. We said, look, we talked to the county sheriff. The city has no jurisdiction here. Yes, we do. We said, provide us the details. We won't even argue with you. Just give us the papers that we don't have to. We're the city. So we said, do not.
Where, in Russia?
Yeah. Do not trespass. We grabbed our poles and our cable, went and got 2 bags of cement and put them back up. The next morning, my wife said, they're coming back. You know they're coming back. I said, no, I can't even imagine that, you know? And so she left for the office, and I said, I'm just not going to let her go alone. I raced to the office. A couple other family members were shortly behind us. Again, here comes an excavator, the DPW truck, the Howell City Police, and they pull in the lot to start destroying our property. So that's when I took the camera and I videotaped the whole thing, and it went viral. There was like, on some channels it was 1.9 million views.
Oh,
on other
my
channels
goodness.
It was, 156. So it was crazy. People from all over the nation were like, you need to get a bulldozer and start, welding up steel panels. You're the next bulldozer. And I'm like,
Wow.
wow, guys, that's not what we're doing. Other people were offering to come and, with their ARs and walk around our lot. And we said, just stop. We don't need that. We'll figure this out another way. So long story short, they sued us. We went to the court in Brighton and had a nice, thorough lawsuit, and the judge ruled in our favor. The city has no jurisdiction on any portion of a road that could be out in front of our property. And we thought, yes, all of this trauma, we're through. This is done. And then the city has appealed the judge's decision in Brighton. So now we head to Lansing for an appeal the next 5 to 6 months.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep. The cable's still up. They had filed a temporary restraining order to make us take it down. When we won the case, we were able to put the cable back up. Public safety out in front of D19, although it's not terrific, it's safer. And at this point, we're just in a holding pattern.
Okay, until, what are you waiting on? Like,
We are waiting for this appeal hearing.
Okay.
For the final determination.
Okay, and where's it being appealed to?
In Lansing, I believe.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure
Okay.
with all the details.
Okay.
The whole crux to the argument is, can a road that runs through 2 jurisdictions, right, runs through Marion Township and through the city of Howell, be controlled by the city of Howell? In every other district in Michigan, that doesn't exist.
Okay.
If it runs through 2 jurisdictions like that within the county, it's a county road. and therefore the county has jurisdiction. The county can't give that jurisdiction to anyone else.
Okay.
The city's arguing, well, it can happen. If Beck Road in Brighton, the county didn't want to maintain anymore, they could give it to the city of Howell, which is the funniest argument I've heard in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, let me know how that one works for you.
Yeah.
So so what are your what are the so is this gas station or whatever it is, whoever's doing this, is the gas station part of this mess, or is that a separate mess?
They're not.
It's really a race to see they want to put that fourth leg to that road there, so it looks like a cross. You could come off the expressway, you could go north south or continue on straight. And it's as far as what we've heard from MDOT, they're willing to let a development go in and have that be there, but it really seems like it's a race to see which one puts in the road and completes their development first to go in there.
Where would that gas station go? Because is it between you and Speedway, or is it the other side of you?
It's directly behind our building. The easement sits between us and Speedway, so the road goes back there. The truck stop, even though there's a 20-foot drop in elevation, would sit directly behind our building. They've proposed to put their underground storage tanks 135 feet from our active well and about 65 feet from our septic.
Well, while I'm not up on my water rules, I'm pretty sure that is a big no-no.
So in a wellhead protection area, which it is, because the city of Howell's water treatment plant's back there.
Oh boy.
It's an 800-foot setback. So not only is there the issue with regard to MDOT and the curb cut and access controls, but there's an issue with regard to placing underground storage tanks. Now bear in mind, the developers already spent $1.3 million on the 7 acres around us. They bought another triangular piece down along the expressway that was left over from the expressway construction for $40,000. So I'm not entirely sure what was talked about behind the scenes, or what plans were made or what verifications were done, but somebody's stuck, whether it's Quick Trip or whether it's the motorsports. Until there's improvements made to D19, somebody's stuck, with a big expense.
And going back to the city of Howell, we recently went to a PUD hearing to they're requesting to rezone the area because of so many challenges they face with putting in this gas station. Not a single person that spoke besides Aaron was concerned about putting the underground storage tanks near our well within the 130 feet, and that was very interesting to see there.
That's just wrong. And the city and so has this gotten to the city council yet, or is this still in zoning?
This is still in the planning commission.
Okay.
They've skipped the steps of going to Lara or the Livingston County Health Department or Livingston County Drain Commission even, because bear in mind that at the outside of that 7 acres is that great big Marion Genoa Township drain, which is the one that backs up and pushes all the water out onto Grand River at Lucy Road. So with regard to all the paving for the Quick Trip, their plan is to have some retention and then dump it into the drain. So there's the third portion of the problem for this truck stop going in.
Wow. And we don't know when that next court date is going to be, or no ideas?
So the court date isn't for 5 or 6 months. They give the attorneys each 30 minutes to come in and speak, and then a decision's rendered in a couple of weeks. We were just scheduled for October 15th for Quick Trip to come back to their third planning commission meeting to get it approved, and they pulled out. So I'm not sure of the plans. I've submitted a FOIA request to the city to see what communications there were. So we'll see where that goes. Everything that we've had to do, Jake and I, to get the information, nobody's ever approached us and said, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Will you work with us? Which is how we've done things in Livingston County for years.
I know,
right?
I know.
But with these big billion or multi-million dollar developers. It's come in, submit the plans to the government, and the government will take care of it.
So,
don't worry
so
about the
then
names.
let's talk about the who. Who
Yep.
in the city is allowing this to happen? Who's saying this is not a good idea, and who's saying, yeah, let's just keep going? And not, and I don't want assumptions or I suspect, but where you've seen someone say, nope, this is what we want, too bad. Where's this coming? I mean, who's allowing this?
So in the past, we had a talk. We had to initiate the conversation again, like with the developers, with the city manager.
Okay.
And we sat down, and I don't really know what the result of that conversation was, other than the fact that this is going in.
In court, the judge had asked them a question, because they had written out that if things were going on that were unsafe, or like who would have the ability to shut this development down or regulate those things. And both the attorney for the city and the city manager at the time said, well, we would, judge. And she said, well, why haven't you? And basically their answer was, we need to get these in and get the tax dollars and revenue back to the city.
Wow. Who was the judge? Which judge?
Judge Longsworth.
Longsworth, okay.
She was great. She listened. I mean, not just because she ruled in our favor, but she listened. She was diligent, and she went by the law. She was terrific.
Yeah, she's got a history here recently of ruling against the
I
government.
didn't hear, so
we'll get to that. We'll get to that one.
In fact,
but not quite the segue yet.
Okay.
Hold on. We'll just put a little teaser out there.
Another time, the same time we were in court when they filed the TRO, we had to go and answer for that.
Mm-hmm.
And she explicitly, claimed that when the city filed the TRO, they had made it sound like we were blocking a road like Grand River, and that they didn't give all the details to what this road was and where it went and things like that.
Yeah, she doesn't care to be misled like that. So
it was.
So all right, Irv retired, and I will say this about Irv. Irv, I think Irv got a lot of directions, and Irv followed out the directions. They weren't necessarily Irv's initiatives. I have known Irv for a long time, and I have watched Irv, and I have been on Facebook with Irv, and the Irv I'm seeing now come out of the woodwork is totally new Irv.
Right,
This is not the Irv that has council members or a boss or whatever else back when I knew him when he was the deputy director at the DPW. So yes, so he was he's 100% Irv now, and he's not being directed by anybody. So where do you see? I mean, in your opinion, or maybe not opinion, in your experience, because I who's directing Irv to do this?
I don't know.
I mean, okay, let's go to the planning commission. Who on the plan did everybody vote to do this, or did anybody vote against it?
So it was essentially tabled, although it wasn't directed as tabled. They came up with 22 items that needed to be addressed in order for the planning commission to consider the development. Not approve or deny. They gave 22 recommendations, and that's why Quick Trip was coming back the 15th.
Okay.
With regard to who's pulling the puppet strings, I cannot put my finger on a single person. And we're kind of equal opportunity going after everybody on social media. So we haven't called anybody out specifically. It's a combination of many things, and in many cases, like Irv, I like Irv.
Yeah. What's not to like about Irv?
Right, Dennis Perkins, I enjoyed him.
Mm-hmm.
The conversations we had with them, excuse me, didn't lead me to believe that they were the ones who I could specifically point at and say, "Hey, you're doing this." Is it members of the city council? I don't know. I really can't.
Well, because if it was Irv, Irv's gone. If it was Irv, it would be dropped, right? It would all be going. It would nope. We're not wasting another dime on this. We're just gonna let it go. So
in the interim, the new interim city manager has been wonderful to work with. She was part of Carlisle Wortman, who was the engineers for planning for the city and even Howell Township. And she's just been terrific. She's responded to everything, every request we put in, and answered questions, and it really appears to me like the new crew doesn't have an agenda. So now it's just figuring out where we go from here.
Okay.
I can't tell you who sat on the opposite side of the courtroom from us when we were there.
Okay.
There you go.
And that was is it Alex Klaus?
Alex Klaus.
And
Jacob Schlittler.
Yep. Chief Dunn was there.
Chief Dunn.
Mm-hmm. And
Irv and Dennis Perkins.
Yep.
Okay.
And they would have to speak for themselves.
Yes,
if
yes,
they're part of that,
yes.
but they were the ones who showed up and sat on that side to support the city in those decisions.
Okay. Well, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, because like I said, if this was all Irv, now that Irv is gone, it would, it would be dropped or dismissed or let's just and I don't know where where it is in the process, but if, for example, let's just pretend there's no more fight left and they just say, okay, we want this gone now. We want this to go away. So tell me, is there any kind of would there be liability on the part of the city for leaving Quick Trip high and dry or the loop road or anything else?
The only thing I can think of is if they made a statement that it would be approved, which I can't imagine would happen. I can tell you that I've had dialogue with the new crew to say, look, this can still be resolved. We can drop this now, shake hands and part ways, and do it the way we're supposed to through conversation. The new city attorney has directed.
Who is the new city attorney?
She's also the city attorney for downtown Brighton. Is it? I don't want to get it wrong. Is it Sarah?
Sarah Gabus.
Okay.
So she said, hey, we can't have those conversations. Even with a non-disclosure or whatever it would take, we're not going to have those conversations. We're going to let this big law firm out of Ann Arbor continue to sue the Currys over there at 1285 South.
Oh, dear God.
Avenue. So that's where we're at.
Who voted against the appeal of the judge? Who voted for or against?
It's all been closed session.
That's true.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
No idea.
So you have no idea. Boy, that to me is what I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is crazy. This is not what Livingston County does. But here we are. If I ever need to make my point about what happens when you have a Republican legislature versus or board versus a Democrat board, there it is, right there. They do a really good job of making my point. This is overreach. This is, especially for the judge to say absolutely not. I mean, to approve a plan that has water so close. This is just not how. You're right. Howell shouldn't do business like this. No one in Livingston County should. So, but again. You have that kind of, and I'm not buying this. Oh, I'm for the people. I've heard so many times. Let me take no Open Meetings Act. There are a couple different reasons that a governmental board can go into closed session, Curtis. One of them is personnel. One of them is legal, and this would have been a lawsuit. So yes, they can. They don't have to do this, and they don't have to deliberate this in public. So good question though. So it's just overreach. I'm hearing how they're saying, well, we're nonpartisan and what that means. No, you're in a nonpartisan race. It doesn't mean you don't have, you're not allowed to have partisan views. What all nonpartisan races mean is you're not allowed to put the partisanship on the ballot. But if you want to put, I'm running for city council and I am conservative as it gets, or I am Republican, or I am liberal can be, you can do that. There is no rule that says you cannot do that. It just says you cannot put it on the ballot. So, but this nonsense that, oh no, I'm nonpartisan. No, you're saying you're nonpartisan because in Livingston County, if you say you're a Democrat, you're going to have problems. So if you for those who've reached out to me and told me how Republican they really are, or how they're independent or whatever else, prove it. Stop voting like a damn Democrat. Get off this overreach and start acting like responsible government. You're supposed to serve your public, not run them over. So that just frustrates me to begin with. Joni wants to know, has the county prosecutor been involved? Well, I think she would only get involved if it was criminal. This would be a civil act, I believe.
Yep.
So
What?
it's a civil act. So the prosecutor, they would, so you have an attorney, correct?
We do.
And who is your attorney?
Myers and Myers.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
Okay. Yep.
Roger
Yep.
Myers
Yep.
represented us, yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Kelly's
So,
represented us in the past. I think the benefit to it, though, Deb, I've been a registered Republican, I think, since I was 18 years old, and looked from the outside in at politics.
okay.
But we only joined the Livingston County Republican Party about 2 months ago, right?
Right.
And the benefit to some of the struggles we've been through is it has forced our attention to be on these politics that you're talking about. When people try to hide behind the shadows and say, no, we're nonpartisan. And we say, wait a minute, we've grown up in Livingston County. We can clearly see the difference between conservative or liberal values. Because we have a lot of friends that are on all sides of the aisle, and we always enjoy that conversation and the discourse, and we enjoy it. But we never walk away we try to never walk away where we're not friends. This was obvious and apparent, and it was not conservative values. So it brought us to the Livingston County Republican Party and said, hey, you know what?
Oh, now you're going to make me thank them. No.
We need to
How did that happen?
We need to pay attention because this seems like evil from the other side.
It does. And this is, when people say, oh, there's not much difference. Oh, it's nonpartisan. Garbage.
Right.
People have, you said it. People have partisan values, whether or not you put an R or D next to your name. And if you want the D, values, that's fine. Know that you're voting for a D, but if you want R values, you need to know you're voting for an R. So I know this is the last election that this year that's going to go unchecked by the party. We're going to really investigate in both school and the school and the city. And I'll tell you what, if we can get a Republican trifecta next year, I really, 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 really want to pull the nonpartisan ballots right off. Because all that is a smokescreen. People should know the values of the people you're voting for, and the Democrats love the nonpartisan in a Republican area because it's the way to get in the back door. Because a Republican isn't going to win on the village councils or on the commission or on the state rep. They're not winning, but they slide into the nonpartisan races because people don't know. But so. That is what brought you to the party. Isn't it nice? Look at how that smooth little segment.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
So it is in part. We've struggled through a couple of things. We've watched developments over the past 50 years, the development of Livingston County. We've watched a shift in attitudes, a shift in vocalism, you could say, with the marches downtown and all that stuff. I've seen it all. I've been in town since the 80s and right through today. And I love where we came from. I'm not so sure about where we're at today. And that again draws me back to those, let's call it conservative values that we had from that time forward. My parents are here. I'm here. My kids are here. And now, very soon, my grandkids are going to be here.
14 days.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to tell you something. I welcome you to one of the best stages of life.
Thank
If
you.
I keep saying, not you, him.
It's me.
You too.
I'm
you
excited
too.
too.
You too. But I'm talking grandpa stuff.
Yeah,
If I'd have known how cool being a grandparent was, I'd have 5 more kids.
Right.
It's awesome. There's just nothing like it. But congratulations to you. And do you know what you're having?
Boy, Elijah
Okay.
Jacob
All
Curry.
right. Nice. Great going. Grandpa, you can be having a little buddy there.
I can't wait.
So you grew up on Bowen Road. Where on Bowen?
2182 between Brewer and Thule, let's call it.
Okay. All right. Over there. Yeah.
But so with that many generations of Currys coming through
Sure.
Livingston County, that's where our heart's at.
Sure. I grew up around the corner from you on Crandall there, right there, just halfway between Mar and Warner. So I
Okay.
wasn't far from you at all. And I
Really?
know that beauty of that beautiful, beautiful land there. That whole area is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I truly enjoyed it living there. So I get it. So Jake, let me throw you under the hot seat for just a minute.
Sure.
What were the reasons, or what attracted you? Because you guys both joined the party at the same time, but for different reasons, if I remember correctly, or different things attract. So what was attractive to you about joining our party?
It was really getting back to the dynamics of kind of what you hear about and learn about in high school, and like the nuclear family, and being God-centered, and a sense of community, being able to go to each other and have each other's back, and things like that. I was raised very, like, I guess you could say old school, and I still have those, like, that old school mentality. The world's a crazy place today, and I've always said, like, if I could have grown up in the 50s, it probably would have been much more simpler. And
yes and no.
Yeah. So things like that, and with everything that was happening to our family, I kind of I don't want to say lost faith in government, but decided that I needed to go get more information and check it out for myself, and see what was really going on, and how a governmental entity was coming after us, see, like, how does this work, and what information can I gather to try and use my voice, or the things in my life to change that so it doesn't happen to somebody else.
So what have you gotten from the party thus far that has helped you on this journey, whether it's knowledge or contacts or education or whatever?
A lot of information. And I think there's a disconnect. Like, when you leave high school, there's some classes, some history classes, you learn about that stuff, and maybe for me, I wasn't at the right age and didn't pay attention, and even going to, like, the meeting and just going through, like, these are how bills are written, this is how they become laws, and this is what you can do to influence them, and here's how as the people, here's how you have your voice, and go through these certain steps. And it was really amazing to learn that, and know how to get involved, if we so choose to.
Deb talked about at one meeting the purple section from
Yep.
red to blue.
Yep.
And it was very impactful to both of us. I mean, that is how elections are won.
Now, yes.
Democrat or Republican, boy, if you can get right to the center there and get those people to vote for you, more than likely you're going to win. And
That's right.
It was really interesting to hear. We're not hard right, all this stuff. You've never seen.
You're conservative.
You've
Yeah.
never seen me at a rally, but on the same token, it's important to pay attention, to learn, and get involved, no matter where you're at.
Well,
Get
sure,
involved.
because people that just figure it's somebody else's job end up getting run over by their government or by their nonpartisan government because they don't understand what's going on. All right, Shannon Johnson throws out, "God bless you." I'm assuming she means the baby and that sort of thing, but probably other things as well. Then we've got our good friend from Wayne County here. Thank you so much for advocating about how local elections are important, city council, school board, and other positions like that. Well, you're a former school board member and a former city charter revision commissioner of Highland Park. Well, so you know how important that stuff is. And I was a school board member too for a while, and I'll tell you something, a school board, people don't pay attention to those, but school boards can raise your taxes so fast that it's not funny. And then here's our favorite Jackson chair over there. So hi Ross, how are you? He comes on. So Ross, you have to make sure you watch the rerun. Because we had stuff before now, but it's just government overreach is just huge, and so much problem comes on. So speaking of more government and more judges and more everything else, Shane Fagan got a big win.
He did.
It's funny because if you listen to the township tells you that it is not, they weren't going after him so much as they were going after the language to clarify the language. Maybe, okay. Right. So I think I'm gonna believe that's a big mixed bag of tricks, because I think some were and some were looking forward to not having a little fun with Shane.
Yep, we went through, Jake and I sat in on both trials. The beginning where the judge ruled, and then the second in front of Geddes.
Okay.
Hi, cousin Shan, I love you. Essentially the judge ruled out of however many counts that he was found guilty of one count, and it was cured with a $100 fine. As it got in front of Geddes, it was really interesting to watch. She was essentially said, I don't know why we're here. When you bring people to court, it's on a case-by-case basis, and I'm not going to regulate your zoning ordinance. That's not my job. That's your job. That's your engineer's job. And so she upheld the first judge's decision, and it looked like, tons of bricks of weight were lifted off of Shane and his family as they walked out of there that day. That's
got to be rugged to go through all that, over $100 ticket to get, to go to court twice over that. And the second time I think he got an attorney, correct?
He did. Yep. And that poor man, even for the township to want to go and have a judge clarify the zoning ordinance to make him go and pay for that, it just seems wrong.
And again, it just goes back to have that conversation. There is a center ground that people can find through conversation that oftentimes is the cure if you're willing to look for it.
Yeah. And I think that, and I've said this before, we've got townships at war with one another. I mean, the members. And, I'm going to just put it out there and say there's a lot of Republicans out there. And I can't say that any Republican is bad. I wouldn't say it anyway, but I don't believe that. I think that you've got a lot of Republicans. But I think that Republicans I think that you have that, well, this is the way it always is, and how dare you come be new and try to change things. And that's where the problems happen, because you got an old guard that doesn't want to change and a new guard that does want change, and sometimes it's the new guard wants both sides, so different sides. And I know there's already a recall starting in one township to the north, and you got another township we've got 2 or 3 townships that are battling it out amongst each other. And I as a trainer, as a facilitator for many, many, many years, some simple rules on engagement. There's conflict resolution trainings you can take. I've offered to do them for free. Any township out there wants them, I'll do them for free. If not, then call me. If you don't want me, I'll give you somebody else. But get one, because it's not doing you any good. It's not doing your township any good. But the one thing I want to tell everybody is sometimes you get so fixated on the win that you lose sight of the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is you're not supposed to be, your job as a trustee or as a supervisor or as anything else isn't to be a gatekeeper. You're not there to look for ways to catch people doing things. What you're supposed to be doing, or at least what a good statesman does, is look for ways to work with their constituents in order to get them what they need at the same time, keep order. And it's harder to do that way, but that's where you get all the big wins. You don't win by fighting with, your veterans, or fighting with, taking over your real estate offices, or try to mow down. You cannot win that way, people. You have to work with, and it should, every day should be, what can we do? This person's got a complaint or a situation. What can we do to help get you what you need, and at the same time stay within our boundaries? We can work that in. Sometimes, face it, the boundaries shouldn't be there. They should not be there. Sometimes the boundaries are too prescriptive. And you're Republicans. You're supposed to be allowed more freedom of choice. We are not Democrats where we're putting our thumbs on people's houses. So anyway, that's just my little thing. So we have We have Mark says you should run for city council.
We don't live in the city.
You know, well, you can always, yeah, well, there's other things. Okay, so Bob says that the city is going to cost the taxpayers, the Shane Fagan things, nearly or over 40K. Yeah, that's a lot of money to get stuff fixed up. Joni thanks you both for joining the Livingston County Republican Party. She says you're going to be an asset to our party, and that's the lady that I rely on to work with volunteers and to get people active and engaged. So I definitely take what she has to say very, very seriously. So if she says about you, that's a good thing.
All right.
So last topic, I just want I got a presentation coming next, but I know that both of you have kind of overseen kind of paying attention to the data center. Not looking for so much of a discussion, more about what are your thoughts? Just kind of close things down, and then I'm going to go into my I got 55 videos here I'm going to play.
I'll go first because Jacob's smarter than I
am.
Okay. So more than just an overview, like I said, there's 4 or 5 generations of us. It's important what happens within our community. We've watched all these developments come through. We've dealt with $100 million, billion-dollar developers. So we've also seen some of the cloak and dagger type games that get played. It doesn't mean we know everything, but it gives us a leg up on what to look out for. So we've gotten involved. We've been asked to have been on the committee, to go see a data center. We have yet to do that. But again, having that conversation, we reached out directly to the property owner, and he was kind enough, never met him before, don't know him.
Mm-hmm.
He or his family would never had any real estate dealings with them other than being on the other side of the table. So we've never represented them. There's no relationship there, but he was kind enough to come right to our farm and sit down and have a conversation with us for about an hour and a half. And the reason we asked for that is because with all of the pitchforks and torches that came out against the data center, there was also lots of slanderous comments against this family who's been a staple in our community. And I just thought, man, this is not fair.
No.
People will look at us with our little real estate office and say, well, you're just trying to block the way and get rich, And if I get rich because I blocked the way, it's just because we were there. It wasn't the intent.
I was going to say, it's not like 20 years ago or 10 years ago, you bought that property and said, I'm going to park that thing there and I'm going to stay there hoping because somebody's going to want that and get me rich.
I wish we were that smart.
Yeah. So we could empathize,
Right.
if you will, with the Van Gilders. Or no way, shape, or form the same people, but we could certainly empathize with what was being said online and how they were being dragged under the bus. And we wanted to have that conversation. As I said, Ryan came over, we sat down and talked to him. He said, look, I'm raising my family here. I'm not leaving the county. I don't want to be in the spotlight. But what we have decided, because something's going to happen, is that we will choose the least impactful thing for the property, for the community, because we love this community. And that struck me. I'll let Jacob speak more on it because he has more information. But it struck me as, man, this is a real person. And this, for those reasons, should be listened to. I don't need to walk up to it as though I'm just, going to slam the book down. Let's hear it out and make a decision from there. So, Jake, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've always tried to keep an open mind. I don't think that anybody should really tell anybody what they can do with their own property that they buy and pay taxes on and things like that. A lot of people work hard for their property, and so I try to keep an open mind and think that what does this look like and what research can I do and how does it affect the community. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, so I tried to do a lot of my own research. And I even got to sit down and talk to the developers because of that. And I think that the programs, if people voice their opinions and, keep an open mind and say, hey, maybe we're open to it, but we want to see these certain things, I think it can be done. And I think that it could really benefit our schools. It could benefit surrounding property owners and really keep a rural feel without exploding us like Lansing or Ann Arbor, because I I do know people have moved out to that area to live in that rural area.
Sure, I get it.
We are 38 acres. If you go to the back of our property, 1 mile away is the Van Gilders property. You
Okay.
could almost throw a stone to it if you're like, you know, some superstar
Tom
and
Brady or
bright. But so it is directly in our backyard. Both of these things are directly in our backyard. It does impact us. And having been through real estate and development, as you know, with the state overlays from solar, you know, one clear thing that could happen there if this is turned down is all the trees get clear cut and solar panels go through. I mean, that is entirely possible. The other on 800 acres, if you take 20 or 25% of that 800 acres for infrastructure, roads, water, sewer, all those types of things, that leaves 600 acres for houses. That's 2,400 houses, which the impact of that on wells, septics, infrastructure is massive. Not only that, but if you try to
The
drive
schools,
through
oh my
Howell
God.
or Brighton right now, and you add 10,000 people because of 2,500 houses, you can just imagine the impact that's going to have on our little rural section of Livingston County. So I think it's important to keep an open mind, look at all of the different types of developments that come in, how much land do they use, what are the impacts, and then, you know, make a real decision.
I think people are, you know, some of the people fighting, at least, you know, and I'm reading and, oh my God, it's just, you know, the emotion's so high. And I'll tell you something, I did something really bad today. I called somebody a chowderhead. I just got fed up and I shouldn't have. And I apologized. It was a dumb thing to do. It was just, it's not something I normally do. So I felt bad afterwards, but I just had reached the point. It was, well, you're this and you're, you know, behind the scenes and you're going and getting donuts. It's like, you know, anyway, and was, by the way, you are, you know, so it's just a little frustration there. So I shouldn't have done that and it was inappropriate, but you know, I'm getting all sides. Well, you this, you're spreading, you're wrong. I actually had one woman tell me that there is absolutely no benefit. All the money goes to Lansing and there's nothing for the community. Okay, whatever. Not even going to argue with you. And the other one was the schools will not have their debt paid down. Nope. They were told no. That wasn't the presentation I saw.
Right.
So anyway, whatever. And I'm not. It's not my job to it's not my job to try and sell anybody these things. I'm not. That's at least not today. I'm not there. But I just get tired of. I get tired of the misinformation out there. Just the stupidity. And you know, you got one lady that just follows everybody around and says, I see that, you know, that's against it. I see you've done your homework. Thank you for doing. These are evil. This is, you know, sickening. They're contagious. Oh my God, stop it. You know, it's just terrible. Bob says it's a job of township and all elected positions represent both sides of everything. Both deserve equal. Yes, they do, Bob. You're right. And they should have spent the time creating a data center ordinance. I keep saying have a stinking town hall.
Right.
I mean, you really need to have. I was at the American Legion. Did you go to the American Legion one last week?
No, we had a closing.
That was huge. They had the DTE there who told everybody right flat out that it doesn't matter what you've read anywhere else or seen. Michigan has a different structure, and we are not allowed to do anything that's going to up your rates. If anything, this will drive them downward because they build more than they need. Right. So it can spread it out a little bit. So
Same with taxes.
Yes, and the taxes too. I don't think people have a handle on just how much money could come into the township. That's not the reason to do it. That's not the only reason, but don't discount it. And, you know, you get people, well, there's more than money. Yes, there is, but it's not, you shouldn't discount the money. Pay attention to it. Right. There's a lot of money. You want a police force? You got one. Mm-hmm. You could easily go to Murphy and say, we want 24/7. We want two sheriff dedicated to Howell Township 24/7. We can house them in the township offices, whatever. Yep. So the response time is better. I mean, you could do so much with that extra money. And like I said, that's not it's
Park with pickleball courts.
You could put in pickleball courts. I would, yes. So
it'll add people to MHOG.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. You could. I mean, there could. And MHOG. That's the other big argument I've heard is about the water.
It's
no,
not accurate.
no, not at
We've
all.
talked to the
Yes,
MHOG. He
yes.
says we're fine. In fact, the developers, he said, would likely pay to make it state of the art, which could certainly serve.
Oh
all
my
of
God,
Livingston
I know. I know, and they said, by the way, that they wouldn't, that if they came in and did not the closed loop, but the open loop,
Yep.
That would be less than half of what they have daily to offer. So, and I've heard, they did say, hold that thought, they did say that there's an open loop, closed loop, that the closed loop is where they fill the water up and they keep cooling it. That one is louder than the other one. The other one's quiet, but that one, he says, it isn't really loud, but anyway, so go ahead.
The open loop, they treat the water as it exits,
Yep.
and they return it to MHOG.
The open loop, yes,
The
yes.
open loop.
And
So
they'll
they
rebuy
pay
it.
Yeah.
to get it,
Yes.
and then they send it back treated, and then they pay to get it again.
I know, and it's
So it's I'm
this
not
money
advocating
goes.
for
I
it.
know.
I'm saying
Yeah,
there's some,
I am in agreement that you two are assets to the GOP. Would you consider running for office? There, you just sit down and you go back to your Wayne County coffee.
Thank you, Mark.
I got this. Trust me. This is not my first rodeo, and we've had these talks. Okay, we have Peggy here. I think these two gentlemen have a lot of knowledge about so much that we all need to know. They took the time to find out that many of us did not. Good for them, and thank you for the insight. Thanks, Peggy, for that.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thanks, Peggy.
It is it's tough because you go out there and you try to put out stuff, and boy, you just get hammered. And we're going to be talking. I've invited Sue Doss because Sue Doss and I took a trip last week, and I'm kind of hoping she wanders in at any minute. I don't know that she will. She had another meeting. She said she would try to get here, so I don't know if she's going to make it or not. Matter of fact, hand me my phone right there if you would. Let me see if she's texted. Because if she's on her way, then I'm going to hold off and wait for her. But if not, then I'll probably get started. So let's see here. No. Okay, so she's probably stuck with her meeting, so I'll get started here in a minute. But yes, it is. I'm not sold. I'm not sold, but nor am I, but I feel better today than I did last week. And this is what I keep saying. I think that there are people out there, these people that are rabid. It's like they have, what is it? DCDS. Trump derangement syndrome, data center derangement syndrome. They're just.
I talked to an old time
Oh my
farm family
goodness.
from the area, and she said, "You know what my dad calls them?" I said, "No, what?" She said, "Idiots."
Idiots.
My
Okay.
apologies.
No. But anyway, I mean, there are people that are just absolutely rabid about this, and they're not listening, and they're just ignoring. So I mean, I'm just trying not to engage because it's just not worth my time to do so. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm going to just show you what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. The most revenue. Any local municipal is a community-owned municipal cooperative. We need to manufacture micro reactors. Okay, well that could be the revenue stays in the community and making. Yep, it does. But let me tell you something. Now, having now spent the last week in data center research, that's a close two. That's a close second. They make big bucks. So, in a nutshell, I guess what I try to tell these rabid people that. Oh, Sue. Oh no. Okay. All right. You're there. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Okay, Sue's not coming. All right, so I'll start here in a minute. But Sue, I'm glad you're watching because you can comment as you need to. So anyway, I think these rabid people need to understand. I think they've got this idea that if they fight this and beat this down, then it'll go away and it'll become this pristine farmland. It'll just stay that way until they die.
Yep.
It's not happening.
That's not going to happen.
Livingston
They
County.
want to sell. That is prime land. They're going to make their money. And the other thing that's really infuriating is to hear people. Well, you don't care about the community at all. You bought this property. You want to sell this property. So you're telling me in your $200,000 house or $400,000 house that you want to sell it, but you'll sell it to somebody for $200,000 because it's better for the community than get your $400,000. Give me a break. So it's not going to stay farmland, people. They're going to sell it now. And then I see people say, "Oh, I'd rather have a farmland, solar farm than data center." No, you do not. Why do you think everybody's fighting these things? They're inviting data centers in and fighting solar farms. You cannot sell your house. Once the solar farm goes in around you, that's it. A data center, you go in, sell your house, and probably the data center will buy it. But at least they have in other places I've seen. I can't say that for sure, but I've seen it other places now. But it is, you have solar farms on two sides of you. That's it. Nobody's going to want your house. So I don't, this is a bad thing. And getting another development, oh my gosh. So, that's a tax drain, but the money is outstanding. And I will show you what they told me. Now, I want to make this very clear. Tonight is just another segment. This is not the end. I have another data center that I'm going to visit. And so next Tuesday, I'll have more video from another data center. And the other data center will be a little closer to this one. So again, just, not necessarily discussing, but just want to kind of start this to get our stuff going. I'll be playing these videos in a minute. So anything else you want to tell? First of all, thank you for joining our party. Thank you for being.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, we appreciate it.
This has been amazing.
Let's get the word out.
Yes.
Young people, please get involved.
Yes. Yes.
There's been a lot going on with Charlie Kirk. I'm proud of you and the Livingston County Republican Party for what you've done to bring recognition to Livingston County. And it doesn't matter what side you're on. Get involved, man. People will look at your character and acknowledge what you're doing in the community once you do get involved. So I would just encourage that.
Sure, there's plenty of people that would love to mentor and plenty of ways to get involved and even go to a meeting and learn a thing or two. And it's pretty amazing.
Yep.
When is the meeting?
The meetings are very good. The meetings are the meetings are the first Thursday of the month. They are always at 7:00, and they're always at Remax Real Estate. That's between Howell and Brighton, downstairs in the auditorium down there. They are open. They're open, and you can find information here. LivingstonRepublicans.com, and if you put a little slash there and write join, that's where you join our members. I'll tell you something. I think we picked up a record number of new members after our Reagan Day dinner last week. That was a blast. You missed the best party of the year. I'll bet you did.
We were sitting in the City Hall Planning Commission.
Oh, God,
we heard it was an amazing.
It was amazing.
So many people bragged.
We had line dancing, and awesome. I had a group of about 10 ladies that every single week for a couple of months we would go down to the American Legion and we would rehearse these. We'd learn our line dances. We got our 6 or 8 or whatever we did, and we worked so hard on those. And we came in and we get up there, and our 6 or 8 or whatever 10 ladies that we started dancing, and all of a sudden we had a bunch of sponsored Young Republicans and Turning Point kids there. They all flood up there. They look at it 2 times. Okay, now it's like, come on, really? Really?
Yeah, congratulations, Turning Point in Heartland, right?
Oh my gosh, that was Anne Marie Yarber. She's one of our favorites. Yeah, she actually spoke at our Reagan Day dance dinner. So that was fun. And the food. Oh my God, the food was so good. So anyway, I will come back and I will deal with some questions here. I'm gonna close out here with Aaron and Jake, and I want to thank you both for coming on, and thank you for joining our party. I'm glad you shared your reasons for that, because you're right. I think people live here and they think they're Republicans. Well, I'm a Republican. I vote Republican. Think back to 23 and 24. How those are all the Republicans that didn't vote or didn't get out or didn't help a candidate. This is what happens if you don't. Then in City of Howell, you get such overreach. It's not funny. And anyway, so we have to really jump on board. You can do it one of a couple different ways. You can wait a minute. I forgot I have something. Hold on. Look at that. Rob always was on me about that. So we always say right there, join on right there, that little ticker tape. That's where you go. And sign up for a membership. Jake brought up a good point about being mentored. We do classes for those who are interested in running for an office. We do classes. We teach you everything you need to know. And the people that follow that class win. So I can give you a long list of winners here that won because they took those classes. So anyway, join our party, join our fun, and get involved with us. If you don't have time to knock doors, that's okay. The money you send us, either in a donation or a membership, we use that money to pay for mailings, to pay for postcards, to pay for bags, to pay for literature that we can drop off at people's houses. We buy billboards, we buy ads, we do all kinds of things to get people's, to get our candidates' names out. So please hit that right down here, right there. Join republicans.com/join.
They won't ask you to knock doors.
No, you can knock. I'll tell you what though, those of you who have never knocked a door that don't want to knock a door, try knocking a door one time. I'll go with you.
Go with Brian.
You'll have a blast with Brian. But if you can't get Brian, come with me. Right. I'll walk. And knocking doors can be a blast. People, it's that fear of the unknown. But anyway, all right, we're gonna be back in a minute. We're gonna go over. Thanks again for coming, and we're gonna go over our data center. All these videos here, so you get to see some. Wow. We'll see you shortly.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls' and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why? Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of the Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did.
The Exalted Christ Ministry offers resources to help you understand historic Christianity. Visit theexaltedchrist.com for articles, podcasts, and a video series exploring scripture and key historical topics. Get free resources today at www.theexaltedchrist.com.
And we're back. So let me get to some of these comments here. So we have, let's see, Curtis says data centers use a lot of electricity. They will need to buy it from somewhere. You are correct. So I can tell you that at there was a meeting at the American Legion where The data center people were there. The sellers were there. The landowner, DTE, was there. And DTE was very, very, very clear that they will put in a big, big power structure for them, bigger than they need, and that would then service also the rest of the area. So they do use a lot of electricity, but they were absolutely adamant that it drives the price down. It does. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. That was called fat thumb disease. All right, so here we are. So yeah, so that was it. So they're good. We're good on electricity according to them. And then we have Todd Dubkowski that says, "Good job, guys. Keep fighting for the good guys and gals." Agreed. Joni, we have other centers in Michigan, perhaps visiting those areas and speaking with those people to get their opinion. Yep. That's something, it'd probably been easier. You got some of the people from the township are now telling the township they need to pay for a trip to a different state. It's like, get in your car and drive. So here we go. Reagan dinner was the best time ever from Bob Wilson. Loved our Turning Point people. Yes, I think you sat with them. So, okay. Oh, no. Oh, I lost all my videos. Okay, hang on. They're coming. So let me just get these up. Let me just get these up. It'll just take me a minute. I somehow hit and it deleted my files. So just take me a second, so don't go away. So while I'm doing this, I am going to just kind of say that, you know, this has been a bit of a pisser, frankly, because, you know, I bring this stuff out and then I get all kinds of crazy people just being rotten, you know, and I have no interest in that. So I'm just going to say you are absolutely free to disagree with whatever you see here, but be respectful or you're just going to get banned. I don't want to put up with it. I have no interest in trying to sell anybody. If you don't like it, fine, don't support it. But you know, I think everybody has the right to make the decision on factual information. So, having said that, last week I had posted that I was kind of tired of the misinformation out there, and I wanted to kind of dig into this a little bit. And Sue Doss happened to see that, and she posted, she absolutely adamantly, me too. She said, I want to go where they are. I want to talk to people. I want to find out what's going on. And I said, well, maybe we need to take a road trip. And so that's what we did. And I have to tell you, I had a very enjoyable road trip with Sue. It was 16 hours in the car. So, and I still like her. So that tells you something. She was a good person to travel with, and I appreciate it. All right, I got all my videos back up. So this is what we saw. So we got there, and we got to New Albany, and that's near Columbus. And we got to New Albany, and first of all, I did not expect it to be a freaking mega center. This is nothing like Howell would get, as you'll see in the video. It is a mega center. It is huge. There are data centers everywhere, and they like it there because the money, from what I understand, comes in. And I can believe it because you should see that town. The offices are phenomenal. The streets are gorgeous. Everything is well kept up. So here's me and Sue, and I'll play the first one, and that's just kind of the introductory. That's us in front of the New Albany Village.
Hi, Deb Drick here, and I'm with me is Sue Doss. She is the clerk of Howell Township. We are down here in Ohio. We are about to schedule we're going to go visit the data center. We stopped by Village Hall to try and get some community development people and maybe some city people to talk to us, tell us exactly what's going on here, what the community, has it benefited, has there been problems, have they fixed the problems, are they not fixing the problems, what's it doing for the community. So
This is a very beautiful little place here. You can see it's very well kept. So anyway, we're gonna be going here to the community development office here in a minute. But I just wanted to kind of let you know this is very different than the data center proposed for Howell Township, in that they've got a complex of them. There's a whole bunch of them in this giant complex. But even though it's different, I figured this is the worst case scenario, right? So I'm going to go there and find out if 5 of them or 10 of them or whatever, however many are there, if they're noisy, then we're, okay. Well, what if there's 5 of them or 10 of them, we can't hear them? So that'd be something you need to know. Or they're so loud we can't even talk. So I'll let you know. Do we have to wear earplugs to communicate or not? So we'll let you know that. So we just want to start with this introductory here, and we're going to go ahead and talk to community development. See ya. Okay, they did not know we were coming. So we went into the village hall there, who said, well, there's nobody there at the time to talk. So they sent us over to the community development office, hoping to catch somebody there. We drove to another office and there was nobody there. But while we were kind of at this counter, there was a guy next to me and he was trying to fill out paperwork, and you see he has some sort of a patch on. And so he was there, and while we were waiting, I was trying to explain to them, look, because we didn't make any appointments. We just showed up and just said, okay, knock, 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 come talk to us. And I was asking for someone to come talk on video, and they said, well, there's nobody here. We're waiting. We'll try and reach somebody. And so the guy next to me is kind of giving me business, and I'm giving him business back. And I finally looked at him. I said, hey, do you live here? And he said, no. And he said, I live one town over. I said, oh, we're looking for that. And he goes, oh, well, I've got one right down from me. And I said, well, would you be willing to answer some questions? He said, yes. So you're going to meet Larry. This is Larry, who came over, and we asked him questions. Sue and I asked him questions, and he answered. Here you go. I'm here with Larry, who lives does not live here where we are, but he lives in a nearby town, and he's within a couple of miles of a data center with 4 buildings and an admin building, very similar to what's Livingston County is looking to get or thinking about getting. So Larry, tell me from your perspective, tell me what it's like living near the data centers. And I'll ask you a few basic questions, but tell me from your perspective as a resident, what is it like living near them?
Well, it hasn't really impacted living there at all. You basically drive by them. There's no traffic really in and out of them, other than probably maintenance trucks or something along those lines. You never encounter traffic coming out of there that like impacts the main road that they're on. So quite literally, once they were built, you don't even really know they're there, other than the fact that you can see them. Okay.
Are there any? How far away from the main road are they?
I'd say guesstimate 400 to 600 yards.
Okay. All right. So you can see them, but it's not like up close and look in the windows.
Correct.
Okay. So if there were, you'll have to tell me, if there were, say, a 10-foot berm around that, would you still be able to see them? You think, or
it would obscure them, but I mean
okay.
The berm would have to be pretty long.
Right. Oh yeah. I think yeah. So in some places, I believe here where we are, the city that we're in, I think they said. Didn't they say? I think they said. Sue, didn't they say there was a minimum of
4, at least 4 different complexes.
No. I mean, is a 10-foot berm. Yeah, 10-foot berm was their minimum. Okay, I just want to make sure. I didn't want to say that till I knew for sure. But yes, 10-foot berm. So a 10-foot berm would definitely obscure that. So let me ask you this, Larry. Do you hear them?
No.
You don't hear them at all?
No.
Okay. Do you smell them?
No.
All right. Has your electric bill been affected by this?
You're asking the wrong person living in the house, but I'm going to say no because I haven't heard any complaints.
Oh. So you don't pay, my man, I don't pay the bills either. All right. Are you on well water or city?
Actually, both. We have a well for irrigation.
Okay.
No impact.
No impact on the water. So has there been any in your areas? Has there been any talk about well or aquifers or anything that these things are going to drown them out or dry them up or what have you?
Not heard any.
Not any of that. So, okay. Was there any kind of concern when the data center was first coming in, or did it just come in and the residents were like, okay, fine?
Yeah, it was basically done because it's literally outside of my little town's jurisdiction,
okay.
So it didn't really matter.
Okay, all right. Oh God. So did so nobody had a trouble with this, or just not in your town?
Not that.
So it's outside your borders.
It's outside
but, all
of our
right.
borders.
Okay.
Nobody really. We weren't looking forward to them being there, but I haven't heard anything since they've been in there.
Okay.
It's just now they're there. And it's
Do you
no
have
big
any
deal.
idea of how they've impacted the community otherwise, whether it's jobs or it's, do they have community input, or do you not know?
As far as I know, there's been no community. There's been no involvement between them and the community at all.
Okay, all right, that's what we need to know. If you were in a town right now, a different town, and one said they were going to move in, would you be okay with it, or would you not be okay?
If I had my preference, I'd say no.
Okay.
Just from a visual aspect.
Okay.
But as far as how it's impacting, if there was a community that was needing jobs, whatever, I think it would be a welcome, addition. However, if that's not the case, then
Okay.
put them somewhere out in the middle of nowhere.
So if they came somewhere and they were put out way back off the road with a big berm and you didn't see them, would you still have an objection?
No.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Larry was a bit of a character. He was fun to talk to. He was, what he said is they have, the one near him is 4 buildings and an admin building, which is pretty much what Howell Township is has to decide about, or at least that's the proposed plan at this point. So I know that his statement that it had no impact in the community, that one, either their community did some really bad negotiating or he's just unaware. And it could be either one of them. But he was very, very helpful. And this just comes from somebody we just ran into. So meanwhile, we found out there was nobody. We went back to the other city and we got a hold of the communications director, and he's the one that does all the talking, and he's got his fingers in everything. So we figured he was a good one. He was Josh, and we asked Josh basically these same questions. So here's our interview with Josh. Okay, we're here with Josh, and Josh works for the city here, and he is the communications person here. So, Josh, can you let me know what is the I know we're not going to get into specifics here, or you're not the one that works with the details, but overall, what is the response to having the data centers here? What can you tell us?
I would say that the response has been overwhelmingly positive.
Okay.
If it weren't so, we wouldn't continue to attract data centers to the region.
Okay.
There are several benefits that we've seen here in New Albany. I can't speak for other communities, but here in New Albany, our data centers have been very involved in the community. Meta, for example, offers community grants every year. They're involved in sponsorships with the community events that we have. Google, very similar. Amazon Web Services, very similar. Amazon just made a huge donation to the community field house project that we have underway.
Define huge donation.
I think
we're talking $500, $5,000.
No, I'd have to look into it, but I believe it's at least $50,000.
Oh, all right, that's significantly better than 500.
Yeah, they're sponsoring. It's called a Think Big space within the field house that's dedicated to STEM activities for the kids.
Okay.
If you go to our website, we have some information there.
Okay.
I believe it's 50,000. Another benefit I would say is the fact that typically data centers don't have a large number of employees, so you're still getting the economic benefits without the increased traffic and whatnot. So we have, I don't know off the top of my head how many data centers we have in the business park, but we have dozens and dozens of data centers.
Okay.
And you would think that if you had a similar business that was employing, let's say, 500 people, you'd have a huge impact on the traffic there. But with data centers that typically, depending on their size, employ 50 to 100 people, that impact is less significant.
Okay.
So that's another benefit that we've seen. I know you would have to talk to our community development, economic development team for specifics on the formulas that we have in place. But when we're negotiating contracts with the data centers, we do have a formula that we use that allows us to have economic benefits that are similar to Class A office space. So if we were looking to attract an office building that would have, say, 1,000 people, the benefits from the data center having fewer employees, around 100, is still the same economic impact as the Class A office space. So that's been a benefit to us, where we're continuing to see the benefits economically. The school district continues to see the benefits. In fact, a great person for you to talk to would be the superintendent of Johnstown Monroe Schools. He was previously superintendent of the Licking Heights School District, which sits in the area where Meta is, and they said that they were able to stay off the ballot several times because they received money from the data center investment. So the school districts have benefited significantly. But yeah, we have a great relationship with all of the data centers that are in the community, and I know we just cut ribbons on a couple others that have been very forward-thinking when it comes to the environment and sustainability, talking about water usage really decreasing based on the type of building that they're constructing. So that they've got a eye to the future and are making sure that they're practicing things in a sustainable way.
So noise, do you notice noise or smells?
Traditionally, we haven't heard a lot of noise. I will say that recently we did have some residents express some concern about some noise that they heard with a Google project. So we've reached out to Google and they're currently working to mitigate that situation. But until that came up, we didn't have any complaints from residents. So,
And you have how many data centers in that area?
Again, that's a number I don't know off the top of my
roughly,
head, but I know it's
minimum.
dozens and dozens.
Dozens and dozens,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So we're looking at one.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess I'm just looking at, what, and so we're here, even though this is not a comparable situation, I'm looking at this as the worst case scenario that we had dozens and dozens. So if we're not having complaints about dozens and dozens, one should be all right. So have you heard anything about electrical usage? Like, oh my gosh, everybody's, the rates go up, or are you having brownouts because of it, or?
We haven't experienced anything like that. I know that electric usage is a concern across all of central Ohio. It's hard to say, data centers are to blame for this. I know AEP, who is our electric provider, has been working with the data centers and really all of the businesses in the business park there. But again, not just here in New Albany, but across central Ohio. So I wouldn't feel comfortable at all saying, data centers are causing electric issues for us.
What about water? Any water issues here? I know they use a lot of water for cooling. Have you guys noticed water droughts or water shortages?
We haven't noticed any. In fact, the way that we plan for water usage within the business park, we budget conservatively because we get our water from the city of Columbus, and we are well under our estimates of what water usage would be.
With dozens and dozens of data centers.
So that hasn't been an issue for us. And each data center has a different approach to how they function and how they use it. So
it's a closed loop.
Exactly. So some data centers are basically not using much water at all based on how they're operating, whereas others might be using more. It's all proprietary information, so we don't really
Right. I'm looking more for I'm going there, they're going to give me information,
Sure.
but I'm looking more for, the outside So when they first started coming, were residents worried, upset?
I've only
problems?
been here since 2020.
Okay.
I know the first data centers were around 2015, 2016,
Okay.
I believe. So I don't know what the sentiment was at that time.
All right.
But I would tell you, if you ask the average New Albany resident, they probably don't even realize we have data centers.
That's kind of what we're doing. We're finding,
Yeah,
we're asking people, and they're like, what data centers?
Exactly, yeah.
So,
If you read the news, you'll find that New Albany is like the hub of data centers, but for the people that live here, most of them don't even realize they exist.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. Anything else you want to? I'm glad that you're able to kind of sort of let us know about community involvement, because that's a benefit. If there's no benefit to the community, then all it is taxes. So
Right. Yeah, I would say definitely do your homework with the company, see what their priorities are, what their approach is to being involved in the community. Ask them, what have you done in other communities where you're operating? Because we want that same type of involvement here. And fortunately, we've been blessed to have companies that are ingrained in the community and like to give back. We have several volunteers from these data centers taking part in our community events and just looking for ways to give back. So yeah, I would say
good to know.
In my experience, it's been positive.
I guess the last question I have is, have there been any community issues, and then how did they respond to, the problems or complaints or whatever? You just did say something about noise.
Yeah, that's the first one that I've been aware of since I've been here. like I said, we haven't had many noise complaints. I don't think we've had any noise complaints.
Have you had any complaints about anything else that then they had to resolve or didn't resolve?
Not to my knowledge. That would probably be a question for the development team, but usually they're good about letting me know, because as the one who oversees communications, I'm usually in the loop with that, but I haven't received anything other than these recent noise complaints.
Okay. And working with them, once you've notified them, they...
Oh yeah, they've been great, because they don't want their name tarnished in the news, and they want to be good community partners. So I know the most recent one, the residents were experiencing a constant hum, which we've never noticed before. So we've reached out to the company, and they've been very responsive, and they're doing a study currently, and we're hoping to have some type of remedy here soon.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Sure,
We're gonna post this up there and get, let's show this to residents, and we're really looking for honest answers. So I appreciate you giving that. If it's, if it's terrible and they're having troubles, we need to know, but it doesn't sound like you don't think that it is. So.
We haven't had that here. They've been great partners.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, that's Josh from the city, the communications director. And yes, he did say Google was the only one out of dozens and dozens. By the way, dozens and dozens turned out to be something like 75 or 80 of them. They were just everywhere Sue and I looked. And by the way, if you ever go on a road trip with Sue, she is not to navigate. That's why we did 16 hours instead of 13 hours. I'm joking. No, she got us lost a couple times, but boy, oh boy, did we go. I mean, when I said we toured these things multiple times, we did. So, and we just kept going by the same Dunkin' Donuts, and we just thought, oh my God, we're lost again. But we did go do it. We drove all over the place, and we got out when we could. So the next one I want to show you is, there is a data center without a berm, and we decided to, oh, wait a minute. Let me see. I think I got them in a different order. I did. I got them in a different order. So I'm going to show you one here where we're at a data center, and it's kind of, I'm going to talk to you about what I see, and then we'll show you my phone was broken. I got a new phone now, but my phone was broken and I could not flip it. So I had to get out of the video and go back to show you. So hang on just a second. And this is kind of the intro of the data center that was kind of at the same distance as the one that is being proposed in Howell. So hold on.
Hey, we're here in the city of New Albany, Ohio, which is it's got data centers everywhere. They love them here. They bring in business. They bring in revenue like how crazy. Their schools their schools roll over for the data center. So okay, it's different than in Howell. So this is not what we're going to get in Howell. This is not what we want in Howell. So that's good. I was a little concerned about that, but number one, we don't have the room for all this stuff, but they like them here. This is a center, but I'm glad we're here, and I'm going to take some more video of kind of more of the spots where there's a lot of data centers, because I want them seen. I want them heard. I want you to hear what we hear. So the first one is, I'm taking one, the closest to the one that's being proposed in Howell. Let me flip this around. Nope, that's not how I flip it around. How do I flip it around? I can't flip it around.
Yeah, you should be a little.
I know, I'm not seeing it. There usually is right there. Nope. All right, I'm gonna shut off and then come back. Okay, here we are. Now we're recording again. This is kind of what we're seeing now. Interestingly enough, this is probably 200 to 300 maybe yards from the road. This is kind of what we're seeing, or what's being proposed in Howell, except it's hard to see because, let me zoom in a little bit. You can see there's 2 stories, there's 2 windows. The one proposed in Howell is only 1 story. So if you were to put a berm right here at the road, an 8-foot berm, you wouldn't see that thing at all, even with 2 stories. So it is, visually a 8 or a 10-foot berm would block this, and it's a 2-story. So anyway, just wanted to kind of give you an idea of distance. 200 yards maybe away, maybe 3. But anyway, it's kind of the distance. That's all I want to show you is the distance. And if there was a berm right here, you'd never see it. With trees or something right here, you'd never see this thing. You can also hear road noise because there's a road over there to the right, and so you can hear some road noise, but I'm hearing crickets and frogs. I don't know if you can. I'm hoping you can. Go over to the main part of the data centers now, where all the data centers are, and that will kind of give us an idea of what a whole bunch of data centers sound like. So if that's not noisy, then one's not going to be either. We did talk to some data center developers here about ways to, and one of the things they said about noise is there are some, not here, but there are some data centers out there that have, what was the word? It was inward or outward blowers or something, but whatever it is that makes the noise, they have them, you can have them go inwards or outwards. And he said outwards is cheaper for the company, but that's what makes the noise, or that's one thing that makes the noise. So they said to make sure that in the contract you put it that these things will be inward. Okay, that's just tip number one. All right, talk soon. Okay, so my phone did not pick up the low frequency hum or the noise the way you get it with hearing with your own ears. Well, Gail, that's true, except that our own ears didn't hear that either. Sue and I went all over the place and couldn't find that low frequency hum. And so if there would have been a hum, we would have said that. There was none. Not all those data centers there, not one. So, and then the gentleman said they would be 50 to 70 foot tall, hardly one story. I didn't hear that, so I don't know. I heard one story, but even two stories. And you know what? Just hold still, because you'll see as we go along. So Sue and I stopped for at the International House of Pancakes, or the Pancake House or whatever, and we talked to the manager there and asked her just randomly. So here we are at the pancakes.
The original Pancake House in New Albany.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, what is your opinion about the data centers there?
It brings business.
It brings business?
Yep.
All right, you
grows the company and everything, grows our community, and yeah, brings business, brings sales.
Thank you.
She was just a little bubbly bright spot there. So we asked while she's waiting on us and fixing her coffee, we said, "Hey, you're from here?" "Yes." "Do you what do you think of the data center?" So there we are. So the next one is, okay, this one we wanted to find one with a berm so that you could see what was there. And we found one as we were driving along. We found one there was a berm there, and we knew there was one on the other side because we had seen a sign. But we turned in, there's really no place to park on the side of the road. So we went across the street to a parking lot that was at a building, but we had to go uphill to do it. So you're going to hear us now see it. It'll be from an elevated parking lot. So you'll see this.
Okay, here we are at in the complex where there are data centers. And this one is a data center. Now you can see we're kind of up high in a parking lot. You can see the road kind of goes downwards there. On the road, all you see is this berm. Now you can just barely see like the top of a building here because we're up high in a parking lot. But that is the kind of berm with the trees that they're talking about having in Howell Township. So you can see when you're up high, you can barely just see the top. But when you're down low, you can't, like where that car is there, you can't see that at all. Just showing you.
Okay, from there, Sue and I drove all over God's green earth there. And I got to tell you something. Two things. As far as God's green earth, as many data centers as there was a lot of green space, a ton. You saw the field with the crickets and the frogs and things. There's all kinds of green space there. So they have this white picket fence that goes all along it. And so when you're driving through, except that it was a it wasn't a farm because it was paved roads, but you couldn't see most. I mean, some of them you can see. And I'm going to tell you something. Those buildings are god-awful ugly. They are ugly. They are. No, poor Larry said he didn't want to look at them anymore. They were god-awful ugly, and I understand why. So if you guys go through them, if you go through them, then or you do end up going through with this, make sure you get a berm, because I sure wouldn't want to look at that. All right, here's Gail, wants to fight this out. I'm not going to argue with you, Gail. You saw what you saw. I saw what I saw. I should have stopped in the town that was annexed because of the data center. That's where Larry came from, just so you know. We talked to people there, so I'm showing you what we found. All right, so then we went to, because they said that Google had been an issue, so we went to Google.
Okay, this is the Google data center, and we pulled up kind of into the lot. They stopped you there, Sue, right there. You can see the gates. We're not in the gates, but over there is right over here on the other side of these trees is the data center. That's the Google one that Josh said that they had complaints about noise. I don't hear anything. Maybe a very, very, very slight hum, but you can see they've got a barrier of trees there. And I don't know if that's a car we're hearing. So, you know, this is, I don't know, you can't see anything. They've got it fenced off pretty good, and yeah, you go over here and you can see a little bit. You can see you can see a little bit if you're over here. So, but I don't hear anything. I don't really hear anything. Not a hum, but I don't know what the word is. I mean, it could be from the road, 2 miles away, who knows, but I really don't hear anything. So maybe they had problems and they fixed it, I don't know. But that's the Google plant right there.
So for perspective, that Google plant was enormous. It was huge. So it was 2 or 3 times the size of what the one in Howell was proposed to be. So the last one, and this is we finally found what I was looking for, and I'll show you. We were driving and we finally came up to found one with a berm that, we could drive by, and I rolled down the window and we taped it, and then I went around kind of in the driveway a little bit to show you what was behind it. So let me do that.
This is an example of a berm that we're going to drive by and show you here. I'm going to try and drive and video this at the same time. As you can see, we're driving by a berm. This is the road, and there's a center back there that we tried to hear, we could not. But when you drive by the berm, this is what you see. You don't see anything. But I'll show you here, because there's a driveway of what's back there. And I'm going to roll down the window so you can hear. I'll turn in here just a little bit for a minute. I don't want to get in trouble here. But you can see back there is a building. And you can't see it from the road. You can only see it because we're in the driveway.
Yeah, that's not a good picture of that. That was a big building. That was, Sue, do you remember if that was 2 or 3 stories? It was pretty big, but you couldn't see it, and we couldn't hear it either. But oh my God, I got to tell you, those buildings are ugly. Now, having said that, I feel like that's one example, and that's also, I would not feel comfortable saying, yep, you're good, because it's not what Howell is proposed. I would say that I am relieved about a lot of things. The people that I talked to did not have any kind of, I didn't hear anybody with a complaint at all. So, and we, randomly just talked to people. There were people that we asked that did not want to be videoed, but did say something. So I've left them out of this story. But again, I guess I want to be really, really clear that this option, the only, I shouldn't say the only, besides the flow of money, the option you have here with this is negotiation. Now, you can't say as part of the package deal, you have to put in a field house for the football team, or you have to put in a community pool. You can't negotiate that stuff legally. But what you can do is say, you can negotiate the construction. You can say those blowers, the fans, the transmissions, I don't know, trans something or other, the blowers, the fans, they have to, if you blow them inward, they're quiet. The ones that were loud before, they were blowing out. Now that's cheaper for the company, that's less expensive, but it's noisier. So they advise that have them turned in. And yes, it's a little more expensive for the company, not for you, but for them. But there goes the noise, because that's mostly what the noise is. And I don't, 1 story, 2 story, 3 story, but that last building was huge and it was tall. You couldn't see it because it was behind that berm. So whether it's 1 story or 2 stories or 50 or 70 feet tall, that's not what I was told. I was told 1 story, but you know what? I could have got it wrong. But either way, that berm, a 10-foot berm, would block any of it. So you'd be okay there. Anyway, that's today's report. I'm hoping to get next week. I'm going to do more digging for the data. I'm going to another center and I'll have more video for you next week. And I'll try and get, like I said, people are goofy about how they get recorded. But Sue, if you're still watching, did I miss anything, or was there anything that you learned that I missed, I forgot to say? But, this is not going to be farmland. You don't get a choice between this and farmland. It's going to be sold. So what's going to go there? Like I said, for me, I just feel like it at least ought to be considered that, you're going to get some big tax revenue, some big community partner, 40% green space, and, and negotiation power. Nobody else is going to, if a solar farm comes in, no negotiating, they just do it and that's it. And there goes your base. So anyway, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you not doing the snarky comments. I appreciate your patience. And we had a long night full of good information. So I will be back next Tuesday. On the 28th, we will have Anthony Ferlini, who is a Secretary of State candidate. And after that, we'll be digging for the data. I will have the report on the next data center that I go visit. So, Joni, thank you for that. Yeah, it's been a long night, but it's been a long night, but 16 hours in a car learning about this stuff, that was a long day. And like I said, Sue's a wonderful person, and I enjoyed her company, and I still like her, so that says something. So, all right, good night, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.